Welcome to Armchair Expert, Experts on Experts. I'm Dan Shepard, and I'm joined by Monica Padman.
Hello there.
Hello. We have YouTube's #1 doctor, 25 million plus subscribers.
Oh,
Sexiest Doctor Alive 2015 People Magazine.
huge
Sexy
accolades.
Doctor BuzzFeed. Dr. Mike.
Dr. Mike.
I love Dr. Mike, as you'll learn in this episode. I discovered him through my children's obsession with him. He makes the best videos. It's the only YouTube stuff I love when they watch. He also has a podcast called The Checkup with Dr. Mike. So listen to that. And I challenge you, go watch one Dr. Mike video on YouTube and you will just stay and watch them all.
He's very charismatic and very interesting. Has a lot of knowledge.
Incredibly smart.
Yeah.
He does these kind of mashups too, where it's like the videos you already want to watch, like trampoline injuries. And he'll pause and go, ooh, okay, I think that's going to be a femur. Like
smart. That's funny.
Yeah. He's lovely. We love Dr. Mike. Please enjoy Dr. Mike.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
That's so cute. Bye,
Oh my God,
guys.
Rob, are we rolling?
Oh,
Dr.
my
Mike,
God.
you
Yes.
got my whole family
I love
aflutter.
it. Sorry, I'm just trying to fix
We're
it.
filming.
No,
He has to
Rob, what do you
adjust.
mean?
I'm kidding,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
kidding,
it's
I'm
good. It's
kidding.
good. As long as you think it's okay.
You like it?
He's
Yeah.
our
That's
guinea
comfortable for you.
pig.
Yeah, I'm the guinea pig guest. I like it.
It's a guinea pig, but an expert as well.
I know, but you should tell us the problems. Feel free to
Yeah,
tell us
as you
all
see
the
them
problems.
Well, just
With all
any
of it.
problems you see, shine a light on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like medically or not.
All
I
of it.
deputize you to be hypercritical of
Okay,
us.
deal.
God, you're so cute in real life, too. Oh, my God.
I appreciate
it's
that.
impossible. Did you see how tall he was, Monica?
Yeah, I said, and tall too. And tall too.
Have you ever added it up? How many hours of content you've created at this point?
It's like 800 videos,
And they're generally how long?
10 minutes. But then the podcast's up to 3 hours at times.
If you and another doctor get geeking out, it can
Geeking
run
out, I
away.
like to debate. I'm like you. I love that stuff. I love getting into it and finding disagreements because I feel like that's a great way to find truth.
Yes.
So I'm a fan.
Also, do you find that a great source of fuel is a debate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I had another doctor on and we were arguing about like Eastern versus Western medicine. And I was talking about it and I was getting excited. And he took it as aggression. And because he's in the psych space, he said, hold on a second. What are you feeling right now? Oh, wow. And I was like, wow, this is like cool. I'm being therapized in the moment.
Yeah.
I said, I'm excited. He goes, are you sure you're excited, not angry? I'm like, no, I'm excited because we're truth seeking together.
Yeah.
And when that happens, I get really, really in the zone.
Okay, well, we share this not only now, the height, but also that. I have been accused many times. My wife will say to me, she'll go, oh, pause, you're very large. Does that ever get told to you?
Yes.
Like, yes, sure, you're arguing at the same with the same veracity
Yes.
as everyone else, but you're very large, and you got to kind of remember that, and I don't always remember
Yeah.
that.
Are you
Yeah.
loud
That is
too?
a factor.
How's your volume?
Generally not with my dogs, yeah. Like I try and be that stern parent
Sure.
with my dogs.
Alpha.
Yeah. Although that's like been a little disproven with animals and such.
Ooh, wait.
Oh, this could
I
be
mean,
our
I'm not
first
an animal
debate.
expert.
I
no,
want to
no.
hear about it.
A lot of this debate comes from definitions and
Okay.
people arguing about what words mean, vocabulary.
semantics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
semantics. So the idea of being an alpha in most people's minds is about like dominating an animal.
Yeah.
Is that you?
Well, anytime I use the word alpha,
I mean, yeah, but also.
when I use the word alpha, I think for her, we have different definitions of it, and she regularly, am I speaking correctly for you, that you do interpret that as like almost a bully as an alpha.
Sure, I guess. I mean, maybe that's fair, but I think when we're normally talking about it, you're talking about a hierarchy, and you're saying this person is an alpha, and I think I interpret that as that person is the one that everyone wants to be or take down or evaluate themselves by, and I don't always agree with that.
Fair.
I'm
And
straight.
that's different life experiences showing themselves through a definition.
Also, just what I studied in college, which is like primates and social primates and the hierarchy. And yeah, these roles that they're intuitive and primitive and evolutionarily, came about. And
Yeah.
they're there.
Yeah, in different species. So like wolves have a different meaning of hierarchy than primates do, and I'm not an expert.
Sure.
That's
Well,
kind of an
maybe-
assumption.
maybe you will
But
be.
I will say from a human side of things, especially as it relates to dogs,
Yeah.
to me an alpha is that the dog should look for you to guide it because you know more. You know
Yes.
that if it's eating something that's going to make it die,
Yeah.
the dog should look for you to be the leader in that situation.
Yes.
That's like my understanding of what an alpha is.
Yes, and also I think you could say like, oh, if there's an alpha there, someone's being subjugated. But I would say like for the dog, it puts them at great ease to know what that is. If you're intermittently an alpha with your
Yeah.
dog and then sometimes you're not, I think
Yeah.
it's confusing and a source of like anxiety.
It can be, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about a balance. And I feel like that we're going to get back to that balance all the time throughout this conversation. Because if you overdo the alpha thing, then you're becoming dominating and mean and rude to your dog.
Yeah.
And on the
Yeah.
other hand, if you're too loose, the dog can develop anxiety. So it's like finding that right
Yes.
balance.
Well, isn't that life? It's the nuance between the binary, and everything we're presented is binary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sickness.
Especially on social media.
Yes.
Yes.
As shocking as this may be, some people won't know about Dr. Mike. And so I want to bring them up to speed
Okay.
of just how enormous you are. And of course, my own personal journey with discovering you through my daughters, which has been delightful. In general, I can't stand YouTube. I hate when they're on YouTube because it's so quick and it takes you to the next thing. And so I don't love
But
it.
please subscribe to us on YouTube.
Yes, with the exception of Dr. Mike and now us. But when I walk in and Lincoln's binging you, I'm like, go for it. Keep going. And she'll be policing everyone around the world. Like that's pseudoscience. That's not ever been.
Oh my God.
That's a great word. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
In fact, Kristen got this. Maybe she already told you, Kristen. She got this neck stretcher she saw. Like it was advertised to her
Yep.
on Instagram, and it arrived. And Kristen was excited to use it. And Lincoln goes, Dr. Mike says those are not good for your neck.
Oh my.
And Kristen listened.
Yeah, well, I would too.
Yeah.
It's tall.
The goal of the whole YouTube channel is just to give practical, realistic advice
Yeah.
in the age where everything is binary.
Yeah.
It's either all
Yeah.
good or all bad, or this is the miracle, this is the cure all.
Yeah.
And that's just not the reality, and medicine's so imperfect. So I hope that nuance is translated.
Do you know your demographics for your audience?
Yeah.
Does it shock you that like someone like my daughters are at that
No,
young
that's like
age?
15% of my audience.
Okay.
That age group, yeah.
What is the breakdown? Do you know?
It's 50-50. Actually, a lot of people will make an assumption and say, oh, the good-looking doctor guy, you must have
Yeah.
a only female audience. It's 50-50.
No.
It's actually
Right.
more, I think it might be like 60-40 male.
You have such an interesting history. And I just want to start by saying, do you know anything about Mila Kunis?
I know that she's of Ukrainian background.
And she came here at roughly
Yep.
6.
Same age.
And just had to plop into an elementary school and figure it out.
Yep.
I think that's a character builder.
I think so. I think anytime you're entering an unfamiliar environment, especially to that degree, where
Yeah.
it's like you don't know the language, your parents have to start from scratch.
Yeah.
That's a shocker for most
Yeah.
people, and obviously very motivating to see your parents go through something like that.
Yeah, so your dad is Ukrainian, but he went to medical school in
Russia.
Moscow.
Near Moscow.
Near Moscow. But was it called the Third Medical School or something like that?
You
I
can
thought
say
that was
no.
a bizarre name.
Anytime
Like,
something is the third, I get
I
nervous. So
know!
I'm
I know,
like,
everyone
even if it's
starts
the third-
bristling.
keep it out of the title,
Don't
even
say
if it
that,
is
don't
the
say
third.
that.
yeah.
But obviously, he was a practicing doctor
Yep.
in Russia,
Yep.
where you grew up until 5. And mom was a mathematics professor.
Yeah, PhD mathematics teacher.
Yeah, if you hadn't done well in school.
Yeah, I had no one to blame but
Oh
myself.
my God. Talk about getting set up
Yeah.
for being bright.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
I have an older sister.
And was she brilliant too?
She's done the entire world of medicine. It seems she's a physician assistant, but then she opened up like a cryotherapy place.
wow.
She kind of went the opposite world that I'm in, more
Yeah.
like holistic wellness,
Yes.
and I'm medical.
I want to be at that Thanksgiving dinner when you guys start talking about
We definitely
the
get our fair
benefits of
share of
cryo.
arguments. Yeah.
You just said medical on Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
When they write scripts and they just don't know how to write any of the medical terms, they just write medical.
Do they?
Yeah.
In the script,
Wow.
and then they are going to have the expert
Yeah,
consultant
come in
figure
and
out
fill
what
it
that
in.
is. But the writers just, they just
They
craft
type
that in.
medical.
Yeah. There's a famous example of that getting on the air. Do you remember that?
No.
Not that
Like
exact
the
thing, but
Starbucks cup?
no, it was like an episode of CSI.
Game of Thrones.
Wait, there's a Starbucks cup.
Yes,
in Game
remember
of
they
Thrones.
left the Starbucks cup in? Oh,
Yeah, this
great.
was this said like it was like a CSI or something, and the line was reveal important new fact of case something that nuts. And they just said it, and everyone there was like year 11, and no one was paying attention, and it like made it to air, and I think that's so
That is
fantastic.
great.
Okay, but mom and dad leave when you're 5. Your sister's 14?
Yeah.
Okay. You come to Brooklyn, refugee status.
Yep.
What did dad do when he landed here?
Start taking English lessons because he ended up in medical school a year after that.
He did.
Not like barely a year after that. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And so he had to recertify himself to practice here.
Medical school, residency,
Oh my
in a new
God.
language, in his 40s,
Oh,
while my mom is basically sweeping floors to make ends meet.
Oh,
what character.
Right? Like,
Oh my God.
I try to think what would have to happen to me in the next 5 years that I would have to leave America, go to a country
Yeah.
where I don't speak the language, and redo all my education.
Do it all over
yes.
I wouldn't even know.
No.
Well, what was it?
Well, basically, they saw they were sort of predicting what's happening now in Russia. They saw that corruption was at an all-time high. They saw religious persecution was terrible.
And y'all are Jewish, right?
My father's Jewish. My mom is Christian Catholic mix.
Okay.
And because of having Jewish background, people would treat you differently. Like that was the reality that my father grew up in. He couldn't be promoted to certain ranks within his jurisdiction of healthcare because of that. And they were like, we need to get out of here for the sake of our children.
Yeah. You were born right when I suppose the wall fell, right?
Yeah.
You were able to watch your dad practice medicine while you were still a kid, which
Yep.
I think is probably really relevant.
Yep.
Yeah. Was he like a superhero?
To me, it was so exciting to see the learning process because most kids aren't of age where they see their parents go through school.
Oh, right.
And I
True.
watched it and I watched him study and I saw what he was studying and he would be leaving his textbooks open and I would say, oh my God, I want to know about that.
Yeah.
Why does my muscle cramp up when I'm in Taekwondo or some, sport that I'm playing? And I fell in love. I was like, I have to learn more about this.
Yeah.
And I actually got the nickname Dr. Mike when I was in high school.
Oh.
Because all my friends would come to me
Yeah.
as if I knew shit.
Yeah.
And would say like, hey, I did this to my knee. Like, what do you think I should do? And I'm like, oh, well, my dad always says.
Right. I'm sure you weren't short with advice. That
Yeah,
you were,
definitely given
Were
way
you
too much advice.
precocious?
Yeah, definitely problematic.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of my, well, we got to fast forward so then I can double back.
Uh-oh, we already have a
it's already- this
huge
is-
problem.
look at this.
That never
Rob,
happens.
Rob, you can come fix it.
I mean, I fixed it.
Oh.
but we just need a new one.
I kind of want Rob in the shot for 2 seconds. They look alike.
You think so?
Yeah.
That is so flattering. You don't really
Not
think
you.
so.
I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry. Oh, no.
Yeah, Rob, let's see.
Rob and Dr. Mike look
Oh, my
like brothers.
Are you of Russian background? Oh, so close. And my last name is like Polish background. Maybe we should do some genetic testing here and figure this out.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that was a bummer. I got so excited for half a second.
I know. Okay, you,
I mean, I got the
you
height in
also
common.
look like
That's
him.
enough. From the back, the poorly lit, you
Yeah,
guys
you
could
might-
have the same silhouette. Okay, so we have to fast forward a little bit. You go to medical school. You have this accelerated program through New York Technical Institute.
New York Institute of Technology.
Really close. You decide to start documenting it on Instagram. What made you think to do that?
I can, after the fact right now, create some really good stories.
Yeah, tempting.
I thought that it was cool to share a med student's life because there was a lot of stigma associated with giving up your social life when you went to medical school.
Right.
And I was like, no, this is totally doable.
Yeah.
And I liked showing that.
Yeah.
And there was also benefits to it. You get some followers. As a broke medical student, you might get into a cool party.
Yeah.
So there was like things I took advantage of that. And I said, oh, let's keep putting stuff out and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then I had one of those viral moments where BuzzFeed writes a story and
Check out this sexy doctor,
Wow.
2015. And then People names you sexiest doctor alive.
Oh my God.
Which is an interesting distinction because a couple things. Does that imply that there were much hotter doctors that are now dead? Who are those?
that are no longer alive?
Why alive?
Well,
Why
I
is-
know who's. I think I took Sanjay Gupta was the sexiest doctor alive before me.
Oh, he is sexy.
He is sexy, but also poor Sanjay.
What? Poor
This
Sanjay.
young buck comes
Oh,
along.
replaces. Yeah, that is sad.
Sanjay has been on the show several times. We love him. We're
love him.
friends. He's from Michigan. He wasn't a heartthrob in high school. That's all I'm going to say. So he had this
I
great
wasn't
title.
either.
Well,
Not in high
okay.
school.
That's what I was saying. I got to set this up so I can go back and just find out, like, was this a complete revelation to you, or were you killing it in high school?
No, I was nerdy in high school and didn't get a lot of female attention.
Okay.
So like that was news to me in that regard. But then in college and medical school, I started coming into myself.
Yeah.
Getting into fitness, weightlifting.
Were you super skinny in high school?
Very skinny.
What kind of weights were we?
So skinny where I remember going to the beach with a girl that like I liked.
Yeah.
And I was like, she's gonna like that I have a 6-pack. And instead she goes, you're all skin and bones. And I'm like, oh, that's the last thing I wanted to hear. So after that I
nice.
said I'm gonna start working out real hard.
That's
Hurt my
rough.
shoulder and did all the typical
These
thing boys
formative
do.
events.
Tried to bench press way too much.
Yeah.
First time out.
Exactly. Literally.
I got to put on some muscle mass tomorrow.
Yep.
Okay. So then that's really fun to have not been a stud in high school and then get named all those things.
It's messy because then it starts like going to your head a little bit.
yeah.
And you start like, oh yeah, I'm gonna start writing inspirational quotes right now because I actually know stuff.
Oh, you
So
were-
I
you got
started
it.
doing that, and then I got like 30 likes on those quotes. I would show them to people and be like, "Look at this! Like life's not just fun and games."
Oh no.
Well, that's the problem is if you haven't had the full experience leading up to that moment, this plagues actors who get on TV and movies and then overnight, all of a sudden, they're very attractive to everyone and they have no practice in dealing with that.
Yeah.
And they write inspirational quotes on there.
That was also the era of inspirational quotes, like Twitter. What was
Sure.
Twitter in its early days? People saying they're in the bathroom or writing an inspo quote. Like,
We're trying to
Yeah.
be funny. That
Yeah,
was a big.
there was a bit of fun.
part
Did
it.
you have a favorite inspirational quote that you
no, they were all. I mean,
were stealing them from other places?
I wasn't stealing them. I'll give myself credit. I did not plagiarize.
Okay.
But they were not anything
Profound.
revolutionary.
They weren't
They were
great.
not anything new. There was no
I'm
innovation
gonna
there.
pull some up for the fact
I was
check.
gonna
Stay
say-
tuned for the fact check.
Yeah, do they exist still, or did you go
Yeah.
clean that up? They're still there.
Yeah,
God
I'm
bless
sure,
you.
yeah.
You gotta
Oh,
believe
wow.
it. You gotta believe that stuff.
A lot of integrity. Okay, so that's taking off. Did you have any showbizy fantasies growing up?
Not really.
No. Okay.
I wanted to do athletics, which is why the whole boxing arc happened. But doing the 7-year program, that actually precludes you from participating in NCAA sports
Why?
because of the number of credits you're taking. It like you're not allowed to participate.
What would have been your sport?
Probably soccer. I
Okay.
played soccer well in high school,
Yeah.
and I really wanted to play that going into college.
Oh yeah, you have nice thighs. I'm checking them out.
That
right
helps.
now. Yeah, they're solid. I've worked so hard to get mine about 70% that size. Your first year of medical school, your mom gets cancer, or perhaps she had already
She
had it.
already had cancer
She
for
did.
a little bit, yeah.
Leukemia.
Yep.
So she had a phase of it and then it went into remission, or
The way that it happened is my parents, when they first found out, they hid it from us.
Yeah.
And they kind of kept us in the dark. Oh, mom's sick, but it's no big deal. And I'm focused on school and all that. And then they told us that she has this cancer that actually people live to old age with, and it's not something that actually cuts life short.
yeah.
And then we started seeing her get sicker and sicker and sicker, and we realized she has a unique variant where in her case, it is problematic.
Yeah.
And she needed more extensive treatments, which meant that we had to fly her brother in from Russia, do stem cell transplants,
Oh.
Wow.
bone marrow, all that. And that's an intense process
Yeah.
because you essentially have to destroy one's immune system and replace it with a sibling's.
Yes.
Whoa.
And that was really what ended up making her lose her life.
How long was that? Let me also see. So my dad died in 2012 of small cell carcinoma. So I had that experience, and that was very truncated. That was like, diagnosis in August, dead on December 31st. And then my stepfather had prostate cancer, and he died, but he died over the course of, I guess, 2 or 3 years. And for me, having gone through both of those experiences, what I learned with my dad that I was able to apply to my stepdad, which is like, first and foremost, like it's their thing. They get to decide what they want to do, what treatment they want or don't want. And fighting that at the end is such a waste of time, like regret fighting with him about decisions he was making. But then also dealing with oncologists was an interesting experience. And I think I walked away thinking, you got to remember they're very myopic. They have almost a single goal, which is to kill cancer cells.
Right.
And they're not terribly holistic about what it's going to do to every other aspect of your life and your body. And
It depends.
Okay,
You
tell
know,
me. Yeah.
Well, practitioner dependent, right?
Sure.
So
I guess the specific example that happened was my dad was so late in this, and there was cancer everywhere. He had it in his bones. He had it in a lot of the organs. He had it in his brain. And an oncologist came in and said, I'd like to do brain radiation. And I'm like, I mean, he's going to die of cancer soon here. Is that worse to die of that? Is that the one
Right.
we should try to arrest? And I was like, I told my dad, I don't think you should do this. He's like, I want to do it. We did it. It had some pretty major side effects for his cognitive function.
Right.
And, ultimately in retrospect, I'm like, well, that was really a dumb idea. And then 3 weeks later, he was dead. So, I mean, maybe in that anecdotal example, I thought, well, yeah, that guy's job is to kill brain cancer. That's what he's...
Well, in the correct sequence of events, when a doctor presents a treatment, it should be presenting treatment A, B, C, and D, no treatment.
Right.
And discussion of pros and cons, and then allowing you to make that decision or a loved one to make that decision.
Yeah.
Healthcare has changed in that regard, where now in our education, we talk about the team-based healthcare approach, where sometimes I'll make an outright recommendation to a patient and then say, how do you feel about it? Do you want to do that? Do you have any concerns? And then we can talk about those concerns. In other instances, I say, look, it's not even clear cut what to do here based on the evidence.
Yeah.
So we can do option A, and here's the pros and cons of option A, and here's option B. And they'll say, what would you do? And I'll say, this isn't about me. Let's talk about this with your family. I can give you more data,
Yeah.
but it shouldn't be me deciding for
So
you.
I think we're all very curious. When you ask your doctor, what would you do? And they generally do not want to advise you.
Yeah.
Is there anything like with HIPAA that they're not supposed to? What would...
Well, it's not HIPAA. HIPAA's patient privacy stuff.
Okay.
I think from like a doctor ethics perspective, you want to respect one of these tenets of our care called bodily autonomy, where we don't tell you what to do if you're a competent adult with your care and you're not a child, those kind of specific situations.
Yeah.
And when patients ask us that question, it's essentially making us tell them what to do.
Yeah.
So we want to not be biased in that regard. We can make recommendations and say, this seems to be the better play. I could say, based on what you told me is important to you, this sounds like it's a better options for reasons A, B, and C.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it? And that's the correct way.
Yeah.
Does that happen in every single doctor interaction? No, unfortunately not.
Also, because then it becomes personal. I feel like
Yeah.
if you ask, what would you do? I think it'd be hard to be medical and professional. You then become you as a real person,
Yeah.
which is maybe not ideal in that
Yeah.
scenario.
Because you have different wants and needs for what the patient has.
Yeah.
And from the patient point of view, of course they want to know that, especially if they trust you.
Yeah.
You're someone that they
Yeah.
trust and seem to be objective. And so you're looking for some guidance, and it's very tempting, to seek that advice. We've had Atul Gawande on, and I think his take on, what do you want this experience to be? What are the goals in this last few
Yeah.
months? Do you want to walk around? Do you want to do this? You should know what the goals are before you figure out what the strategy is.
Yeah. And that goes for not just end of life care, like in a situation like that. It also goes for something as simple as like back pain. When people come in and they say, look, I have back pain to 2 out of 10, and I can introduce various interventions, but some of those interventions have side effects. Then we have to explore, is it worth going and pursuing some of these avenues, or are we trying to get to a number that's not realistic, A, B, has way more risk of harm, and see what's the benefit. Like if you're a pro athlete and going from 2 to 0 is going to change your livelihood, maybe it's worth it.
Yeah.
But if you're a person who's like, it doesn't really stop me from doing anything, it's just kind of annoying, well, then the options radically change of what we should do.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important pros and cons weighing of patient individuality that we need to take into consideration.
So, okay, now back to mom going through that experience. Did that at all impact how you personally view that?
I think
process?
the biggest thing that changed for me in that regard was the moments where she passed. So I remember very vividly, we're in one of the big cancer centers in New York. The alarms start going off. You know, the residents run in to start doing chest compressions, which is something I talk about on my channel a lot. And they're like, I think we should stop.
Yeah.
And I understand why they're saying it because I'm already a med student at that time. I see the medications that she's on. And my dad is in disbelief, even though he's a doctor, totally not rational.
Yeah.
That's what
He's
I
like,
mean. You can't.
She'll be
It's
fine.
you.
It's okay. Have him keep doing it. And I saw that it was too far gone. So I actually was the one who had to tell him to stop.
Yeah.
And just seeing how that whole process played out of watching my father go home alone and then not know what to do. They had a trip planned a week later.
Yeah.
And the nurses laughing at the nursing station after, not about my
Right.
mom.
Sure.
They're humans. They have
They
stuff
do this
going
all
on in their
day.
lives.
Yeah.
They have death all day in the ICU.
Yeah.
They need to laugh, but like hearing it gets you angry.
Yeah.
And especially like you're waiting for some paperwork or something. So then when I was a resident, I remember having some of my colleagues laughing about something unrelated. And I'm like, just make sure the parents don't hear you because they're in a bad spot.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's a life experience thing that you can share with others. So
Do you think it was uniquely brutal on your father to have been someone who, I mean, look, we all want to solve our loved ones' problems. And if you're an expert in some area and even you are powerless, I just feel like it must be compounded so much what he went through.
I think it was compounded, but not for that reason. He had the worst year that I can imagine having as an adult. He just gave up his whole life to come to another country. He just got on his feet after going through medical school and residency. He opened his own practice. He bought his first home. He's so happy to share this moment with his wife and family. His dad dies. My grandfather dies that year. His mom dies. My grandmother dies. 3 months apart or 4 months
Oh
apart.
my God.
Within a year, my mom dies.
Fuck me.
This is
So-
not tenable.
And there was other stuff going on too, which makes it even worse. But it was just a lot to witness a person go through all that
Yeah.
and still be like, I'm going to work. I'm showing up for my patients. This is terrible. I'm going to deal with it, but I need to show up for my family.
Well, they're probably the life preserver, the patients, to have that.
Oh yeah,
calling
and I've
in
seen that as
situation.
well, where people are like, "Why are you still practicing medicine when you have such success on social media?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me? That's the joy.
Yeah.
That is by far where you get the most refilling of your cup."
And
Yeah.
meaning. I mean,
So,
that's
yeah,
the whole-
exactly.
yeah.
Well, he's just stole one of my questions for later, which is like, at what point do we just do the YouTube?
Can't do
'Cause-
it.
Yeah. And Sanjay, he still practices.
Yeah.
You're the heir apparent to Sanjay, I would say.
I was just on his podcast.
Oh, you
Yeah,
are?
Chasing
He
Life.
just
yeah.
couldn't be more delightful, right?
Yeah, he's a little.
And it's great to see someone in the healthcare space who's so successful in media who hasn't sold out to the bullshit.
yeah.
Because, man, everyone's
So
sold out.
easy.
Yeah.
So easy
Yeah.
Like,
to
even
do.
some of the big names on YouTube.
Well, I was
It's-
even
Yeah.
thinking, like, you have this incredible YouTube channel. There's 25 million followers, or maybe there's more at this point. But monetizing it for you is so much trickier than
So
for
tricky.
us. Like, we're not trusted medical
It's called
professionals.
Armchair Expert.
Yeah, exactly. The armchair is very
purpose.
imperative in this. So, yeah, we're free to talk about really anything because it's just two bozos talking about anything. But it must limit.
Well, it limits it because I understand my word carries different value
Yeah.
to people, and I don't want to take advantage of that. So I stay away from all of that medical promise of
Yeah.
solution and
On a smaller scale, so I have been offered numerous opportunities to either have treatment centers advertise with us or anything recovery related,
Yep.
and or even go speak somewhere. I'm just like, I will never ever touch that in any way because I don't ever want to lose, that credibility I have. It's so much more important to me than everything else. When does the Instagram? You started that in 2012,
around.
and then 2017 we start the YouTube channel.
Yep.
So how do we transition from documenting your life, getting followers, going to nightclubs, it's a party, to maybe more mission driven, or at least what I interpret your show to be and why I love it is you're largely doing what my favorite person on Instagram. Do you know Lane Norton by
Of course.
chance?
She just saw my podcast as well. Yeah.
I love
Literally, we
Lane
were
Norton.
texting like 2 days
Oh
ago.
yeah, isn't he the greatest?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love him. So you're doing that. You're debunking a lot of
Correct.
these popular ideas about diet, medical treatment, supplements.
Yeah, there's like two worlds that exist right now on social media, and I tried to bridge the gap between them, which is world one, it's complete BS, fear mongering, scaring people. And then there's this world of hyper optimization where it's like the promise of getting bigger, faster, stronger, like longevity, anti-aging. And I'm like, this is BS, both sides.
Yeah.
Here's the reality. The people that are doing the hardcore research that no one knows about, they're nerdy. They're not great on talking on camera.
Yes.
Right.
To be honest, they should be delivering my message because they're the ones that are the experts.
Yes.
But what I can do well, where I found my skill, is taking their knowledge, their confounded, complicated science,
Yeah.
and translating it to the general public,
Yeah.
so that we have a chance against the people that are spreading the misinformation
Yeah.
to confuse folks.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
I hate to admit, on that spectrum, I'm definitely in the camp on your right hand. I'm like, yes, anything that could possibly make me more fit, I'm gonna listen to.
Well, tell
I'm
me
very
why.
skeptical.
Yeah,
Why do you
attack.
like that?
Attack, stick him, out alpha him. Well, I love muscles.
Okay.
I fucking love muscles. Mike, can I call you Mike?
Yeah,
Or did I
please.
always say doctor.
No, please call me.
I'm
Mike.
happy to do it either way. Mike, I love muscles. I've loved them since I was a kid.
Okay.
Conan the Barbarian. I'm so much older than you, but had you been my age and you saw Conan the Barbarian, I promise you would have
Okay.
made an indelible.
Well, I
mark.
watched Xena and Hercules like when I was growing up.
And were you like?
I would try and lift the couch and do the
Yeah,
whole
were
thing,
you
yeah.
inordinately attracted to that?
Yeah, of course.
Yes, I just love muscles. I am a expert on people's bodies.
Okay.
I can tell you like peak
Armchair
Dennis Rodman.
expert. Okay.
Body. This
Yeah,
one I'd
okay.
say.
Okay, you're an
I
actual
can feel like I go toe to toe on male physiques
You're right.
with anyone.
I'll give you that.
You know, what was the Brad Pitt? What was the best Brad
Like
Pitt?
the Troy, right?
Well, so that's one look.
Or Fight Club
Fight
or
Club
something.
is
Yeah, okay.
very, very lean, very light. He's probably
every
like
time I
135.
would go to a personal trainer, I was like, "This is it."
That's what everyone
a
says, and
thing.
no one realizes
Yeah.
he's like 135 in that
exactly,
movie.
Yeah.
And then I did a movie with my wife like 17 years ago, and I actually had a trainer, and I did the perfect diet, and I got insanely cut.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very fun experiment. I think what I like most, maybe a emotional philosophical thing, is like, you don't pick your face. You come out, you got this face, you got this nose, you got whatever you got. Your body, you
Well, these days, that's not.
well, that's true. There's surgical options.
And
I'm not above
non-surgical.
pursuing.
Yeah.
Me either.
Yeah.
Me either.
A lot of options, a lot of items on the menu.
Customization these days is high.
This room has some of that going on. I'll say it. This side of the room has a
Sorry,
tree
I like to
alteration.
introduce nuance into conversations.
When I know I can change something, I'm really drawn to it. So the notion that like your body, you have a lot to say in how you look. I have looked so many different ways. Just my body, my face has been largely the same, but I kind of love that. And I'm like a goal-oriented person, and I'm kind of a militaristic, routine person. And I like the sense of control it gives me. I like to be able to observe results. I love it. I'm not sure what the finish line is.
But that sounds like a positive thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But it also sounds like you're defending it a bit.
Well, you asked me why am I so obsessed with muscles, didn't
Well,
you?
no, I said, why are you so much on the camp of the right side of
Oh.
living forever and anti-aging and all that?
Well, first of all, I don't want to die like everyone else.
Okay.
Everyone in my family's died young, so I think I'm even more incentivized to figure out how to
Yep.
at least add a decade to this. My dad was 62. That's not going to work for me. I have a much different lifestyle, whatever. But if I hear creatine, I will remember where I'm sitting when I hear about creatine, right? I'm in a fucking science class in Santa Monica City College in 95. I'm like, wait, there's an over-the-counter supplement that gives you 11% more body mass or whatever was promised at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck yes, I'm going to try that. And then also I started doing testosterone 6 years ago. And I'm like, oh my God, I fucking love this. This is fantastic. I can't imagine you're super pro testosterone, but we'll find out.
No, I mean,
We'll find out.
it depends.
I'm a 900.
Okay, but
I'm not going to 1,500.
no, yes, but also when you're starting, it matters.
Yeah.
And for what purpose you're starting, it matters.
Yeah.
So there's like a lot of nuance that needs to be had in those situations. But I feel like what happens on social media is bro says he was depressed. Bro says his gains weren't as strong as they were 10 years ago. Bro's taking TRT, then comes on my podcast and says, I'm taking TRT. And I'm like, oh, were your levels low before? And he goes, no, they were normal. I'm like, then you're not taking TRT, you're just taking supplemental
Yeah.
testosterone,
Yeah.
which is not TRT.
The elective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the hyper optimization that I warn people against.
For sure.
Yeah.
And look, I like to think I'm pretty objective about it, but like there's a cost benefit analysis to look at.
Yeah.
And there is do I want to live to this age feeling this way, or do I want to live shortly, a little bit less than that and feel this way? These are like, are you all about longevity? Are you quality over quantity? These are like philosophical questions.
Well, those are important questions. It's my thing that I always like to introduce into these conversations is how much we don't know.
right.
And even with like testosterone as an example, the idea that if you take it, you will feel a certain way
Right.
is just not true.
I mean, to add,
Whoa. You have a very specific look on your face.
no, it's the reality of your personality. You're also
An addict.
You're an addict, and that side to me leans a little more addictive, where you do the sauna and you eat this very specific thing, and there's a challenge to it that I think you get. You feel good if you've mastered that challenge.
Yeah, I would argue that it's a replacement for what another addiction might be. And
Exactly.
this one so far has been largely beneficial.
That's what life is, right? Like it's like what's healthy to eat. It's like, well, what are you replacing it with, right? That's the
Yeah.
real question.
Yeah.
So if you're replacing an unhealthy habit with this habit, maybe that's good for you as a form of risk reduction.
Yeah.
Like when we used to say the only way to prevent STDs is abstinence. And then like people are like, yeah, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, not
and
happening.
then STD rates climbed and then they're like, oh, what about condom use? And then this and that. And then so like we continued risk reduction and understanding how it works with human biology. So in this case, like what works for you, great, could work for you, and it could be a totally healthy coping mechanism for you.
Right.
The thing that gets complicated is when we talk about it in generalities and on social media and how a lot of podcasters, not you, talk about it.
Yeah.
They talk about it as like, I have the solution. I'm the health guru.
And I always
Yes.
hope I'm never promoting it.
Yeah.
Mine is I need to be honest.
Yeah.
If you look at me and I'm 49 and I have this muscle mass, I need to include like, yes, I'm eating this way and I'm working out this way, but also I take testosterone. Like I would feel dishonest to not be owning that. But I'm by no means am I promoting it. I don't think dudes who've not had kids yet that, I don't think if your numbers aren't low, like, yeah, I'm not on a promotion, I will listen to all of it, and then I think I'm pretty skeptical, so I'll run it through a little bit of a. Okay, so we didn't really answer though. When did you feel the exact transition to like it being lifestyle and then turning into kind of a mission driven, I'm going to debunk stuff and educate people?
I always wanted to have value from this moment. Like the viral moment happened and it was all about looks and all that. And I was
so
like,
fun.
well, how do I move that into something meaningful? Because I'm getting this education.
Also, your looks are going to go away. Hate
That's
to
true,
tell you.
too.
Yeah.
And your quotes, you only have so many.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna run out. And I would sit there and I would say, like, what can I do with this? And initially, like, what can I do as a resident? So I auctioned off a date for charity because I was like, oh, that's like a helpful thing. And we gave 6 figures to charity doing
Wow,
it.
that's
How was that
But I
day?
mean,
hold on.
it was really
hold on.
awkward.
We
But
need
I can
all the
only
info.
imagine. Oh my
We
God.
need all the
Because I'm
info.
not. I just imagine my dream date doesn't bid a lot of money to date me.
it wasn't a sum of money. You had to buy like a lotto ticket.
Oh my God.
well then that opens up the door to all kinds of yeah.
Cool.
So I mean, I just didn't know what I was doing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
you're starting
yeah,
out with
yeah.
popularity, and you're like, I'll do something for charity. That sounds positive.
Yeah. Did you almost get trapped in that moment? Because that's a very
I thought it was
seductive
weird.
moment.
It was weird, and then like being in media in general felt so unnatural. You're used to having your close group of friends or maybe even a wider tribe that's like you're doing reputation management every time you're at a party.
Yeah.
But now it's like millions of people and everyone has an opinion. You don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
I had no training in that. So it was a growing phase of trying to figure out what that meant.
You're also terribly young.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty young. I was like 24 when all that was going on. Now it's even worse. There's like 16-year-olds going viral. That's worse for them.
Oh, no. Yeah, that terrifies me for
So
them.
That's like, forget about how scary. At least I had some sort of education, knowledge, or some background.
Oh my God, did you feel like, am I supposed to kiss this person because they paid
No,
because
no, come on.
there's been six figures are on the line
I would
here.
have kissed the shit out of her.
I know you would have. That's
You better
why.
It was a respectful,
why I
like,
asked.
and I think like her mom worked at a hair salon and she heard about it and she brought her a ticket. So I don't even know if she liked me that much.
Well, this is.
It was a lot was happening during that time.
There's a lot of new things coming your way.
And to answer your question, basically, I got all these invites to go on television, and I was like, I'll go on under the guise of like they're inviting the sexy doctor, but I'm going to talk about something health related.
Substantive.
Yeah, and that worked for 2 weeks.
Right.
And then they're like, we don't care about you anymore. You're too young of a doctor. You don't have enough experience.
You're a bad doctor.
Yeah, get out.
Yeah, take your shirt off or get the fuck out of here.
No, that happened.
I bet.
I think like one of those entertainment shows invited me and they're like, oh, our reporter wants to go to a gym and work out and you'll talk about the benefits of exercise. I'm like, awesome.
Perfect.
Show up to the gym. They're like, all right, take off your shirt. The reporter's not coming. We're just going to get B-roll.
Stop.
Yeah. And I'm like, deuces.
Yeah.
So I just left because I didn't care. Like the fame wasn't the end goal.
You had a real job, luckily.
Also, if a woman, this is the opposite of what I normally do, but if that happened to a woman, we'd be like, that's
What are the names?
harassment. Yeah, they're fired.
Yeah.
So
There's a lot
men
of
have
weird stuff
problems
like
too.
that. Like you do like Rachel Ray and she's like, oh my God, you look like a Chippendales stripper or whatever on television. And I'm like, oh man. Like,
I didn't rehearse a response to that.
Yeah.
This may shock you.
so I mean, like,
didn't
look, whatever.
anticipate that question.
I'm lucky enough that I was able to push through all that and say, okay, I won't get the invite, so I'll just do it myself on social media.
Right.
And social media removed some gatekeepers. And as a result, we have this very successful YouTube channel.
Yeah, and it's fantastic. So very little of the content my kids like am I interested in. And I will regularly be in the kitchen. It's on, they're binging it. And I will sit down and I'll do fucking 35 minutes of you. And you're funny and you're irreverent, but the info's dense and it's there. It's so good. And the production of it's quite good.
Yeah.
The way you interact with the clips and the graphics and everything, it's a really great show.
It's fun, and I think what we've managed to do is make the scandal about like the corniness or the sexy doctor or the silly humor as opposed to corrupting the medical information, which is how people get views on social media.
Yeah.
Right.
They have those, here's the pink Himalayan sea salt you're not eating. If you have headaches, this is what you need to. That's an actual video online.
Oh, I'm sure. I've seen any product under the sun is the quintessential thing that's killing you.
Yeah.
Or any object.
Or will save you.
Yeah.
All right, I want to get into some of the medical stuff a little bit here.
So we have a big debate here about whether farting is
Holding in your farts.
Holding in your farts is for one. I think it's possible. Dax thinks it's impossible to do, and I know from
That's actually not my position.
well,
Was that
yeah,
my position?
it was.
I per design, I must be dealing with much more than you
Oh.
if you're able to hold it, because there's just no way I would. So I'm just starting by saying maybe our baseline amount
It's
of gas we're putting. So
different. That's true.
issue one.
Because I said no, you're just being a jerk and just
Entitled.
You're entitled and you're just farting all the time.
And I've known Monica for 10 years now, and she's yet to fart around me, which is insane because we're spending
Well, there's like
40
also guy
hours a week.
humor that they like.
Well, exactly.
That's her
cultural,
argument.
Around each other.
That's her
cultural.
argument that it's.
But then Dax told me that you said that that I'll die if I don't fart in front of him.
Lincoln told me, not die, but Lincoln told me
That's what I
Dr.
heard.
Mike said it's not healthy to hold your farts in, which I promptly reported to you because I care about
And we
your
said we
health.
would talk to you in person about
Fair,
this.
fair. Okay. Let's talk about sphincters because sphincter control is awesome. Because if we didn't have sphincter control, we would be defecating ourselves where we sit.
Yes.
So our sphincter is actually quite interesting in that it has a sensor built in to know when it's just a fart or is there matter.
Well, his is defunct.
So actually,
Only
it's
once a
under
year.
our control. And the practical answer of this, it doesn't matter. I
If you hold them or not?
I mean, yeah.
I thought there was a
Okay,
story about.
barring
I
extreme, I
feel-
know someone's going to be like, this person had some gangrenous bowel situation. Okay, barring
ruptured-
extreme, please hold your farts. Please fart. Do whatever makes you feel
I
happy.
feel victorious.
You should.
Okay.
And now I got to find the video that Lincoln claims to be referencing in her bibliography of your show. This may interest you. Maybe you've already thought of this. We had an astronaut on, and he had been in space for a year. I think he spent the longest amount of time in space. A couple things that shocked me. I was like, does it feel so great to sleep in space? Because you're like weightless. You're always trying to get comfortable on the pillow. Like it seems like it. And he said it's nearly impossible to sleep in space because gamma rays, which are blocked by the atmosphere, are coming through your eyelids. They penetrate your eyelids. So you're laying in bed with your eyes closed and you're getting huge flashes of light that are the gamma rays.
What?
Isn't that fucking crazy?
That's wild.
Cool.
So that was one thing that was nuts. And then another thing was you can't shit because your digestive system is gravity driven. And he said that the Russian cosmonauts gave him the advice, want to take shit, eat more food. Like basically
Or
just-
maybe like a gastric massage. Not gastric, but like
Yeah.
an
Move it
intestinal
around.
motility.
Yeah.
massage.
So I was like, oh, I would have never thought about that. So now, and then the other thing he said, which would make total sense to you, is,
Taller?
well, your body is designed to live at 1 ATM, right? So it's a pressurized system driving
Yeah.
blood up to the top of your head. Well, without that atmospheric pressure, it pushes way too much blood to your brain. So they have headaches. They're getting flashes of light, and they
I
can't
wonder what the
shit.
adaptation process for that is. Because the human body does adapt quite well. So
It's a master of homeostasis now. Yeah.
You know, there's these astronauts stuck up there right now.
yeah, I heard that.
so
The space
weird.
station.
So weird.
Yeah, and they were supposed
Yeah,
to be there
space
for-
scares me.
Oh,
Yeah,
I know. I have no
not for
desire to
me.
you.
Like that's my anxiety. That like anytime I look up, I get nervous. I get vertigo. I just start thinking the world's ending.
Yeah, anytime you look up.
Yeah, like just anytime open spaces, I'm like, we're all gonna die.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm not going to be on any of those ships that.
no, you own a Blue Origin or whatever. it
I
is.
mean, I do want to look. The only thing that seems very enviable is many of the astronauts describe looking out the window. They say, like, when they're not doing the things they're mandated to do, like whatever tests and stuff they're doing, most of them will spend their free time just laying in the bed, staring at Earth, watching it go around. And they all say there's something so surreal about being on the outside of it and how beautiful it is.
I believe that.
I'm envious of that.
Have you ever flown in a fighter jet since you like speed?
No, I've been invited a couple times. I know that you throw up. I know that's what they do to you.
They try, yeah.
Yeah,
Ew.
and I,
I did
have
the
no.
Thunderbirds.
You did it,
Yeah.
and you didn't throw up.
No.
It's because
And I did 9.3 Gs.
9.3 Gs. What was that experience like?
What? I mean, I'm afraid
Do you
of
black
heights
out a
and
little bit?
scared of all this stuff. Yeah, you
Yeah.
totally black out.
Yeah.
You have to do the G straining maneuver where like you're breathing in a specific way because you can't take a full deep breath. So you have to do these
Oh my
like
God.
concentrated puffs of air. It's
Oh.
very weird. And you have the G suit squeezing you. It's like a whole experience.
Yeah, but you didn't get nauseous.
Oh, I got nauseous.
Oh, you got nauseous,
Yeah,
but you
I
just-
didn't throw up. Yeah.
Okay.
I fought it. And we did all the maneuvers.
Yeah.
So like it was a crazy.
I have a side issue, which is I've done a couple USO tours. I was in a Black Hawk at one point, and the guy said, "Do you want us to do combat simulation flight?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm a fucking daredevil. Let's party." And about 20 seconds into it, I was like, I've gotten myself into a situation where someone's potentially trying to impress me.
Yeah.
And I don't
Yeah.
want someone
Yeah,
in
that's
impress
scary.
mode when
Yeah.
they're operating something. So I was just like, I'm never signing up for that again.
I had that with Mario Andretti. I did one of those ride-alongs with him. Oh, you did? And I was like, oh my God, he's old. He's going to try and impress me right now. He's going to say the doctor. I'm like, please don't have a stroke right now.
Yeah, what if you were like,
scary.
yes, I'm in. Can I take your blood pressure really quick? I just want to do a couple quick
Oh, I
vision
talked to him
tests
before because I was like, let me like chat with you, make sure you're all there.
cognitively.
Yeah.
He's a bad motherfucker
Yeah.
behind the wheel.
Oh, yeah.
I think at 90, he'll still be
Yeah,
a monster
I believe
behind
it.
the wheel.
And I love cars.
Was it
Like,
in
I
a
love the car, yeah.
two-seater Indy car?
Yeah.
Well, it was. What, at what track?
Poconos.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Do you like F1?
Yeah.
I think we should be bros. I'm so much older than you, but
I
think
mean,
we should
you're a car guy, right? Or
live
motorcycle
for
guy?
car. Well, both. Yeah. You name it.
Because
If you put gasoline
I have a
in
lot
it,
of cars. I'm a big car guy.
all I know is you had a Urus that was stolen by a. Was it a
Garage
doorman or
attendant-
something?
garage
Or
attendant, yeah.
garage attendant took his Lamborghini Urus and went for a 5-hour zip through New York City.
And then when he came back,
And then
the cops came. They were like, he's like, I went for a family emergency.
Oh.
That was
In a
the best
circle.
answer ever.
They were really bored, and I had to blow their mind by fucking.
No, but then the cops like scanned the license plate, and it was like all over New York. So
Oh
like,
my
who
God.
knows where?
I would imagine too. The nav was recording where it had all been.
Oh yeah,
too.
probably could have done that.
Yeah.
Do you want to do your game and guess his car?
Oh yeah, can you?
Well, I can tell you what car you should be in.
Oh, okay.
And we'll see if you have it.
I probably have it.
Yeah. I mean, you must have a GT3.
I thought that's what you would say, but I have a 911 Turbo S.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. Very close.
Yeah,
Very close.
that's what I thought you would say.
Yeah. No GT3.
No GT3.
Has it
I
tempted
have
you?
another car that's fun like a GT3,
Okay. What is that?
an F8 Spider.
Okay.
How many cars do we have?
We can
4.
cut it out.
Yeah, we can
4.
if you want.
No, I mean whatever.
That's very
I like
conservative.
cars. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I like to play with them and swap them out, and I just started like collecting within like the year.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah. I have a sickness. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a disease.
I actually just bought my dad a Roma for his retirement.
Oh, what?
A Ferrari Roma.
Oh, I don't know what the
wow.
word
It's like
is.
a GT, like
Front
relaxed car.
engine.
Yeah, front engine.
Okay.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Does he
And I
like it?
surprised him with it. It was like really cute.
Okay, we're gonna debunk some stuff.
Yep.
I guess my first question is: it would seem like the most audacious exaggeration of science is in nutritional space and the diet space. Is that like? Do you think that's
mean-
the number one place where you see disinformation?
It's probably the most common on social media,
Yeah. And do you have a
or like
theory?
vaccines hesitancy or whatnot.
Yeah. What is your theory behind why that? Well, first of all, let's just talk about like why our nutritional science is so fucked up. It's like every time you hear a different study, it's just so variable. It seems like we can't learn anything.
I actually think
concrete.
media messed it up for all of us.
Okay.
Because they're really terrible with their science literacy. And I'm going back like 40 years,
Uh-huh.
where like one epidemiological study showed that people who ate nuts lived on average 12 years longer. They didn't account for like wealth. They didn't account for exercise
Yeah,
or
who can
any of these
afford
things.
nuts?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they write an article like nuts make you live 12 years longer. That's not what the study said.
Yes.
And even now, it's still bad where they'll see the word significant and they're actually saying that a study is statistically significant,
Yeah.
which does not mean the same as practically significant. So this is actually really fun, and I kind of geek out over this stuff, where if something is statistically significant, that means odds are whatever the result happened is true. That's all it means. Whether that result is good, bad, or something the other, it doesn't mean anything.
Got it.
Clinically significant or practically significant means that it actually makes a valid difference.
So it's just saying that the test was done correctly?
That means by chance the results didn't happen. Like 95% chance that this is the truth.
Okay.
And that to us is the barometer that we set in science.
Got it.
95%.
Well, also the way the data is reported is so significant. So this was my personal experience with it. I got curious. I was like, well, Sweden ran the experiment for us. They didn't social distance and they didn't mask and they took a very specific approach. The results are in. Like one day I'm like, oh, I want to see what that was. So I searched, what was the outcome of Sweden's policy. In the articles, all of them are like 50% fatality rate increase. And I'm like, well, that's pretty heavy. Then I actually look at the data in the article and as compared to their neighbors, well, their neighbors had a death rate of 2 per 10,000 people, and Sweden had a death rate of 3 per 10,000. And that is 50%.
well, there's like
But
the
that's such
absolute or relative. Yeah.
So everything gets reported. Like that seems enormous, and like you've almost halved your chances of survival. But that doesn't mean any 3 out of 10,000 or 2 out of 10,000. That's negligible. But boy, when you read it positioned that way, that's my main issue with these studies being reported in the media all the time. It's like, what is the incident rate really?
Yeah, that's important because when we even say, oh, those who eat red meats have higher rates of colon cancer by like 20%, or, processed meats have a higher rate of colon cancer by 20%. And then you have to like then figure out that the natural incidence is 4% and 20% increase goes up to 5.
Yeah.
Right.
So it is 20,
It is. Yeah.
but it's 1.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah, it's really, really misleading. You can really, really
You could twist
weaponize
it
data.
basically, yeah, to make it say whatever you want. And because of that, on social media, how are you going to get viewership?
Yeah.
By twisting it as much as possible.
Right. Sweden up
Even
their
in
death rate.
regular media at this point.
Yeah, exactly. But at least like with regular media, why it's a little harder to do it is they have more to lose.
Yeah.
They have investors, they have reputation management, like all that stuff. Versus if you're like a dude reading
right,
stuff
right.
in
Yeah,
front of
yeah.
a camera, you're like, yeah, cancel me.
matter,
If you're
yeah.
canceling me, it's because you're silencing me now. Like, and there's that
Yes.
playbook that's used all the time.
Oh God, yes. But what do we think about what are the most alarming trends that you're seeing in the diet space that you've been spending time on?
I think it's changed. Before it used to be like intermittent fasting, keto, then like carnivore popped up for a while.
yeah.
And you started getting all these like tribal camps. And the reality, as Lane Norton always points out, it's like whatever you can do to lower your calories, that's going to help you lower your weight.
No one really wants to hear that, though, do they?
That's not fun.
Yeah, he's got a great thing. It's like, yeah, intermittent fasting works, but not because of some magic of intermittent fasting, but because your caloric intake ends up being reduced.
Yep.
We're not going to get away from calories in, calories out, right? I mean,
Well, notice like if we look at the misinformation space, 25 years ago, all the nighttime commercials were like, here's how you could lose 5 pounds with our new formula. Here's the grapefruit diet of how to lose 5 pounds. Notice those went away. Do you know why they went away?
no.
Ozempic. We have a proven way to lose weight. We don't need the BS stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that everyone should be on Ozempic, but
Yeah.
they lost market share because their stuff didn't work.
Yes.
Versus this stuff is proven and has side effects, obviously, and shouldn't be used by everyone, but actually has proof that it works.
That has to be a topic people really want you to talk about. I know even in here it comes up a lot. I am very pro Ozempic. I have had friends, I've watched them try to lose weight forever, and they're in a very, they had gotten themselves into an actuary line that's pretty dangerous. And lo and behold, they're significantly thinner, and people are mad about that. And I'm confused why someone would be mad about that.
People like the natural thing, and they view this as unnatural, and they view it as pharma getting rich and weaponizing it. And look, a lot of these arguments that people have with these situations are all what I call truth wrapped in a lie. There is a kernel of truth that this isn't natural, that pharma is getting rich. Like, there are truths.
Yes.
But what the ultimate answer is
Is it a
of those
grand
truths-
conspiracy?
Exactly. What I see is happening is society creates problems. We created through capitalism all these foods that are hyper palatable. We want to eat more and more. They're not satiating.
Designed by scientists.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
chemicals.
And then we started gaining so much weight that we couldn't stop eating these foods. So now we created another problem, which was what capitalism does. It creates a problem.
Yes.
Before we had poop on the streets of horses. And then we're like, how do we create the solution? We created cars. Now we have pollution. We're going to create a solution. So it's like constantly like playing catch up.
Yeah.
But because this medication breaks it in a fundamental way where it changes your relationship to culture, because food is culture, I think that strikes a chord with people.
Yeah, and there's this sense that people have cheated or they didn't.
I had to work hard.
Yeah, like I put a lot of effort into my fitness and my diet, but I don't I don't care if someone.
But also people that are on Ozempic, they're also might be
Yeah.
putting in effort.
They
And
probably
they
are.
should be, really.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
correct way to use that medication.
I think the only thing about Ozempic that people aren't shining maybe the best light on or could be doing better with is it is great, but also you do tend to lose muscle mass on it. And that's the
if you
part people
consume
aren't-
less calories, you'll lose both.
Yeah.
And if you do it in a way where you're not resistance training, you're not consuming the proper amount of protein, you will lose muscle. So
And are
that's
you a
the
big
reality.
proponent? Are you in the Atia camp? Do you believe in the kind of
Like the
the
fear of
overall
like,
metabolic health improvements through muscle mass? And,
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
all of that. I think where we disagree from like the Peter Attia camp versus what I do is the worlds in which we practice medicine are radically different. I work at a
You don't
community
have-
health center.
you don't have Bezos as a patient?
Yeah, like-
Allegedly.
So-
Allegedly.
I don't know who his patients are.
I know, but
Throwing
like,
out a rich person.
it's very, consumer oriented. People that are going there are already pre-motivated.
Yeah.
They already have a bias that this is going to work, which means that it will work just because they
Yes.
believe that it will work. And then also some of the things are not evidence-based. Some, not all.
Okay.
Where it's like, it's a protocol that he's created.
Uh-huh.
And I am scared of that because science can go wrong in so many different ways. So whether we're talking about full body scans to catch things early, just preventatively, or
Are you pro or anti those?
generally speaking, anti those.
I did one.
Really?
I did
Wait.
it. I did it.
Okay.
And I'm about
Mike,
And
to
I know
did
which
it.
brand you did, so I don't want to say
Oh, you
it.
did. You do.
I mean, I
You assume.
guess, yeah. I
Wait.
presume.
I presume. I'll
Wait.
tell you. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I need.
we
mean,
got to hear why.
Yeah.
Why not?
As of now, and remember, science evolves, and this is important to say because we messed this up bad during COVID, and we were like, this is the answer, and this will never change. Science evolves. As of right now, the only group of people that really should be getting these scans are people who have extremely high risks of cancer because they have a genetic condition. There are specific ones that create higher risks of familial cancers.
Right.
Besides that, what we've seen on a population level is that the benefit is outweighed by the harm.
The harm being the radiation.
The harm, well, a lot of those tests are now MRI driven,
Oh,
so
right,
the
right, okay.
radiation is not a
I guess
concern.
the previous iteration
was the CAT scan model.
Yeah.
But now it's MRI, so that's a little bit better. But the human body has lumps, bumps, masses, things that don't have clinical significance.
Okay, I'm going to guess what the problem is, which I'm in lockstep with you, which is they did a study. I'll get the numbers wrong, but in general, you'll get what I'm saying. They did a random MRIs on 1,000 people's backs that did not have back pain.
Correct.
It's something outrageous, like 40% of them had either...
70, yeah.
Is it 70?
Yeah, 60, 70, yeah.
Yeah, had like ruptured discs, or they had something that
Some
would have...
finding, yeah.
Yes. And so if you go in with your back hurts and 70% of people you give a MRI to, you're going to find something.
Correct.
It doesn't mean that that's the thing. So is that maybe the concern is that you'll start treating something that didn't need treatment?
Yes. Or maybe you're more conservative, that you say, I won't get treatment, but you need to investigate. Investigations, biopsies, needles inside the body, there's side effects to procedures. There's side effects to the anxiety that comes with knowing you have something.
Yeah.
And some will say, well, maybe it'll motivate you. Yeah, maybe. Or maybe it'll give you such bad anxiety that you'll have more problems.
Right.
So
Or be overwhelmed by
right
it.
now, we don't have the data to support it.
Yeah.
And I think that it's easy to sell it
Sure.
in a sexy, fear-mongering way.
Yeah.
And I really dislike that because right now the science isn't clear-cut saying that's a good recommendation.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Okay, now we're going to click into patient doctor mode.
Yep.
So I am an ex-smoker of... Well, I quit when I was 30 and I started at 15. So I smoked for 15 years.
Okay.
I haven't for almost 20.
One pack a day?
pack and a half. I was hammered and doing coke.
All right, so around
20.
20.
3 packs.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
20 plus pack years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Snorted a copious amounts of coke. Drank like a motherfucker for, a decade or more. I wanted the peace of mind that they looked in my lungs. There was there were a lot of question marks that I thought with my history, I would just feel a lot better taking a peek inside there and seeing what was going on. So with someone with my history, would you say still probably don't need to do it?
There is an age where we do, for people who have an extensive smoking history, preventive screening with a low dose CAT scan. So we do screenings for that, for lung cancer.
You'll be relieved to know I was out of the woods, or so we think from that result. You could just
You
be
had
with
the opposite. It relieved some anxiety,
1,000%.
which then is
But
helpful.
what if you found a nodule that then you needed to follow?
I would follow it. Yeah.
And how would your anxiety feel then? You have a growing
wouldn't be that
nodule
bad.
inside- Oh, no, okay.
Yeah, because literally I go into those. I'm like, I definitely have lung cancer. When I got the CT scan of the heart, I'm like, this is gonna be a mess. I eat.
Oh, you got a calcium score?
Yeah. I go in thinking it's gonna be like 70%. I eat meat nonstop. Blah blah blah. It was 0. I was shocked, right? So
I'm not.
You're not what? Shocked?
Yeah,
because of
that's
the
what-
exercise.
'Cause
No,
it's
because
normal.
that's what's like. That's why I don't scan you.
Yeah. Oh, this is perfect timing because of my heart explosion.
You had a heart
Her
explosion?
heart
Any day
exploded.
now. Yeah.
You would probably know him. Do you know Dr. Richard Isaacson that does the Alzheimer's work down
He's
in
a
Florida?
preventative neurologist. He
Okay.
worked with Sanjay, and he has
Sanjay
a whole
did a 4-part story.
Cool.
On him.
yeah, he has a whole thing going that we are participating in.
Yeah, we're in a study.
Yeah, we're in a
Ooh.
study, which is very cool. We give a
11
shit ton of
vials.
our blood, all of our blood, and then he's called us with some results, and there's some unnerving stuff
okay.
about my cholesterol, which I already know. I have high cholesterol. I've had it since I was a kid. He's basically asking me that, and I said, yeah, I've always had high cholesterol.
So sue me.
Doesn't seem to be related to anything I eat or not. It's the way it goes. And he was like, okay, but now I'm going to go to a preventative cardiologist, and there's going to be more tests, which I think it's like good to maybe clear that and see. But it is funny because to me, I've always just been like, well, yeah, I just have it. I've always had it.
You're in acceptance mode.
Yeah, but now I'm nervous.
Well, that would have flagged on any checkup for you.
They do, and I think it's like just keep an eye on it, and he's surprised that that's been the response, and it hasn't been.
Do you know
more.
what the numbers are?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't currently. I didn't ask very much. I was kind of overwhelmed.
Well, no, look, because here's the important, and I'm not here saying like, oh, just throw your hands up and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Wellness and screening and getting in front of problems is what I preach. That's what family medicine is. But it's knowing when screening is beneficial and knowing when screening can actually cause more of a problem.
Yeah.
And we've had instances with that. Like we've changed our guidance on prostate cancer screening. We've changed recommendations on breast cancer
Yeah.
screening when we should cut off certain screenings because we found over-testing was a problem. And over-testing is a real problem, especially, this is pretty unique. It makes sense, shitty that the world exists this way, that those who have less money
Yeah.
get worse health care, right?
yeah.
They can't afford medications. They don't have good health insurance. They don't go for preventive stuff. Logically shitty, but makes sense.
Yeah.
The wealthiest demographic also gets bad health care.
Really?
Because they're
Over
not-
testing, they think they can buy good health care. They get great hormonal treatments that they may not need.
I feel singled out.
No, but this is just, I'm saying this generally speaking. And
okay, let
it
it rip.
happens. And it
Yeah,
happens.
that's interesting.
And that's what my hope is on the YouTube channel, just to say, like, here's what actually we know. And then there's people doing stuff that we don't know about because they want to be on the forefront of it and they want to be the leaders and they believe in it. And it's
You know what's funny about that? And this is again where studies get so hard to isolate what variable you're actually testing, which is that also correlates perfectly with what we know about happiness and financial.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So when you're very poor, it's miserable. And when you're above, it was kind of low
At that time.
at that
it's
time.
probably
Yeah, they've
changed.
upped it. But like you plateau after 170 to 3.1 million. Beyond that, you have a reduction in happiness. So it's like, okay, now our health reflects
Yeah.
that, and also the happiness is in the mix.
It's
So-
life
interesting.
homeostasis.
right? Yeah, it's really wild
Jeez.
that those
Well, that's why,
both
like,
ends of that spectrum.
Even like our acid base balance in our body, like our pH is so narrow on what's considered a good range for your body. Like the body keeps your pH within like a decimal point, right? And then you have people who are like, drink alkaline water. And I'm like, okay, hold on a second, pause. You're going to have alkaline water, slightly more basic water, that's going to go into your stomach that's full of gastric acid, which is one of the most potent acids. So your water is no longer alkaline, A. B, it's going to get absorbed into your gut. Your body will do whatever it wants to do with it because it's controlling your acid-base balance.
Yeah, it'll dump it or use it,
Yeah.
right? If it needs it or not.
Yeah, so it's like the idea that you're controlling something with your alkaline water is like,
Well,
People just want to feel
Illusion.
in control.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
I'm so glad you're debunking alkaline water. I've been pitched it many
I
times.
love
I'm like,
it.
I just don't. You love it.
if you
Sticking
like
with
the
it?
taste of it or you like that it's fun,
Yeah.
great, but like just the health claims are not true.
No, I know.
Well, this is
yeah.
the example I give. Like when you're talking about homeostasis, to me, opiate addiction is the finest example of it, which is like you give yourself an opiate, it blocks the receptors, the body grows more receptors, and now you need more. And then you take more, and then it glows, and then there's no end to that. Your body will fucking win. It's why it's the most terrible addiction you can have.
to clarify, it
Yes.
lowers the receptors because it doesn't want to have as much of a reaction. So it downregulates.
Oh, I thought the opiate blocked the receptors from uptake of the pain.
For the opioid example, yes. But
Yes.
like let's say for mental health of serotonin, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because so like there's instances where it happens in both ways,
Uh-huh.
where you could upregulate or downregulate. I just want to point that out.
Yeah. Okay. Great. But just you're playing this. You're in an arms race with your body with
Yeah.
opiates, and you actually can't get the upper hand. You can OD, I guess, but yeah, it's like the body is insanely good at reaching homeostasis.
So good.
Did you read?
For both good and bad.
Did you read Dopamine Nation by Anna Lemke? Oh God, it was good. I think you would really like it because you're
gotta
you're
check
not an optimized guy, but I do feel like you would recognize.
No, there's benefits to a lot of these things.
So her position is, okay, we like dopamine. It's a great chemical.
Sure.
There are ways to spike it, cigarettes, caffeine, all these things. But in all these studies, if you spike it, the bad chemicals that re-regulate you last far longer than the spike did, right? So it's an investment with a return. And conversely, if you cold plunge for 8 minutes, you get 2 hours of elevated dopamine as it tries to re-stabilize you or reach homeostasis. So go ahead and chase dopamine, but what one has the good odds?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I read that and I was like, oh, that makes total sense. And I'm a dopamine junkie. So yeah, let's suffer 3 times a day. And I dig it. Are you into any of that cold plunging or no?
I like saunas.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
It's not a cold. And I'm not a cold plunge person because I don't like the feeling of being cold. so,
Nobody
like,
does, Mike.
Yeah, but like I don't even enjoy the challenge of it. Like I'd
Okay.
rather
Yeah.
challenge myself in the gym or like
All right.
boxing or something, getting my ass kicked. Like
Yeah,
I'd rather
yeah.
do that
Yeah.
for some reason. But even that whole protocol thing has been blown out of proportion because like
The very
people get
limited
excited
studies
about
that
it.
people are referencing.
Well,
or,
it's just like my protocol is better than your protocol. And if you're not doing it this way, or if you're not breathing this way, or if you're not meditating this way, it's like, nah.
yeah, I'm with you. But I do try them all.
If you're-
and one, we just learned that.
But you
one.
can have
Yeah.
fun with it. Like if you're
Yeah.
doing it for fun, that's like the same thing with all those fitness trackers, right? Like everyone loves their fitness tracker. And it's like, if you just love it for the fun of it, great. But like the health aspect of the fitness trackers is really questionable.
Okay, so I wonder if we have the same position on this because I fight with my wife about this all the time. She's had every kind of tracker.
Okay.
Right? She was wearing a glucose monitor for a while there. And I'm like, the results of which you will know, okay, I got to sleep 8 hours. I got to eat this way and I got to exercise this way. Like we already know what the prescription will be if you don't like the results. So just live by the prescription.
Like if you wake up and you feel well rested after a night of sleep,
Yeah.
and you slept the correct number of hours for your age group, why do you need an app to tell you slept well?
Right.
Because if that app tells you you didn't sleep well, your performance is going to suffer. That's been proven.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I say
Yes,
to our
I
friend
agree.
Charlie, who's a fitness trainer and has got a Adonis of a body. But yeah, he'll wake up and it's like it'll tell him don't train today.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what are you going to do with that? He's
Yeah,
still
well,
going
look,
to
like,
train.
in the upper echelon of performance, like for the LeBron James of the world, maybe it's different. But
Yeah.
again, I work at a community health center, so like
Yeah.
I have like real people, like the averages of the world.
Yeah.
So like they don't need the health tracker to change their life.
Right.
They need the information.
Yeah.
And they need guidance as to what is the biggest bang for their buck in terms of effort, not money,
Right.
Yeah.
in order to change their world, their numbers, all that. So like
Yeah.
the fitness tracker, the cold plunges, that's not in medicine.
Yeah.
Never in a real medical encounter in like a legitimate medical institution, tertiary care center, is anyone being like, did you cold plunge today?
Yeah,
How
it's
much are you
true.
cold plunging a week?
Yeah,
Are you hitting your
exactly.
11
Yeah,
minutes?
It's true.
Like that's not happening. And
You're
it's
not
not
doing an
because we
FU
don't
weight
care
train,
about
are you?
wellness.
Yeah.
It's just because like that's not really wellness.
It also makes everyone a victim. It's like, oh, I only slept 2 hours. I hate that.
And again, that's not saying sleep isn't important. It's so important. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the most important.
Maybe the
thing.
most important.
But yeah,
right? We
you
could
know
agree.
if you've slept well or not.
Yeah.
For the most part.
And if you're not, like searching for the reason why you're not is very important too. And that's what we talk about on the channel, ways to improve that, sleep hygiene, all that good stuff. But
Okay, so I want to talk about gut health because it's something that I find it very intuitive. I'm very interested in every time they start talking about just how much it's regulating your overall health. What is your position on gut biome and what are your beliefs and what do we know about it and what can we actually augment about it? Where are we at
that's a
in it?
good point. So like what we know versus what we can augment is pretty limited. There's certain medical conditions that we've seen evidence of messing with the gut microbiome is valuable.
C. diff?
Like C. diff, far and few between. Like C. diff, we do fecal transplants. Like that's an actual thing we do.
And it works.
Yeah, and it works. Antibiotic associated diarrhea in some cases, traveler's diarrhea. There's like some childhood things. But in general, there's no good data for probiotic use right now.
Really?
And they're sold for every condition. And that's not to say that in the future we won't find one.
Yeah.
But saying it prematurely is doing a disservice, because then people who have an issue where they need to go get a checkup and get a colonoscopy to check for colon cancer are not getting it because they're wasting time trying a probiotic for a condition that probiotic doesn't help with.
Okay, but what about this rationale, which is like, yeah, we might not know. I think a lot of people live under this approach, which is like, yeah, we're not sure. It can't hurt. Maybe it will be proven. Well, here we go. I've heard you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no, there's been issues with probiotics causing problems with people, infections in the gut. A lot of the probiotics that are sold on the shelf, and this actually goes to the larger picture of supplements. What's written on the label's not what's actually in the product.
How bad? Like what are we looking
Like
at?
I've seen consumer labs who do these off-the-shelf testing be as high as 70% for some of the supplements.
Meaning they actually contain 70% of what they say
No,
they do?
70% of the supplements on the shelves have an inaccurate label of what's in them. Some
much
ones that
worse.
sell herbs, the presence of the herb isn't even there. Like that, because they're not regulated. And people are saying, well, that's because pharma's a problem, natural's better. It's like, both are businesses.
Yeah.
Both are for profit. One is at least somewhat regulated. And if something happens with a pharma drug, you can sue. There's someone to hold accountable
Yeah.
for that. There's no one to hold. It's an LLC that you'll sue. They'll open up a new one.
It parallels nicely the kind of Bitcoin debate of like, they love it because there's no regulation. And then when it gets stolen, there's no one to call. There's no one to punish. And like, wait a minute. Maybe accountability is kind of rad in a monetary system.
Balance. We're back to balance.
Yeah, exactly.
Some regulation is better than none. More regulation isn't better than some.
So are there conditions, chronic conditions that you do think are originating from poor gut microbiome? I'll just own that I think the future of it seems very promising, that you would be able to regulate the microbiome and have pretty powerful impacts on like some autoimmune stuff and different things. It seems very promising of all the different things that are really we don't know a ton about.
We've seen a pattern of people who have poorer health have disruptions in their microbiome. What that means, we don't yet know. Is it chicken or the egg? Can we alter that chicken or the egg phenomenon? We don't know. And anyone that's saying they do know is jumping too far ahead because we don't yet know.
Right. So just to articulate what specifically, you're saying like, yeah, does the poor health cause the bad microbiome, or does the bad microbiome cause the poor health?
Correct.
We don't know yet.
Yeah. What I'm excited about is AI, but not in the way most people think. So when I give patients blood pressure medications because their blood pressure is elevated, I gave them a diagnosis of hypertension after checking it correctly, which most people don't do. After multiple visits, we tried lifestyle modifications, didn't work. For whatever reason, their blood pressure is still high. We want to lower that blood pressure. Why? Because over the population of people who have high blood pressure, by controlling it to a certain number, we see a decrease in risk of heart attack and stroke. Forgetting the number, we see a decrease.
Yeah.
But now, if I gave you the medicine, that same percentage doesn't hold true for you. In fact, in most instances, that medicine is going to do nothing for you. But I don't know which one of my patients that has the high blood pressure, it will prevent the heart attack and stroke. AI can use a lot of data points and then further reduce the number of patients that I need to treat to actually get the benefit of said treatment.
And am I right in understanding this? I've heard a couple people talk on it, but yeah, the amount of data they're going to be able to put into this evaluation, knowing your genetics, knowing 65 different markers, they're going to be able to point to a much more probabilistic treatment.
Correct.
That doctor would have to spend 3 weeks sifting through to try to figure out.
Sifting
if they're a
through,
good
and there's
candidate.
experimentation. Like sometimes even with psych meds, we're experimenting with patients. We're giving them this one. How you doing?
Yeah.
Let's check. And then there's like, that's subjective, right? That doesn't always work really well. And I'm excited for the day where AI, genetics can all come together and guide this.
Yeah.
But do you know who's the biggest opponent of that notion? If you had to guess, what industry?
Big pharma.
And I'm not like someone that's like anti-pharma because they're also making the greatest changes for humanity and saving us from problems.
Yeah.
But why Big Pharma would not be a fan of this problem?
Yeah, less medication.
Yeah, because I would need to treat
Yeah,
a
well,
lot
you're
less
not
patients.
Yeah.
subscribing,
Exactly.
prescribing 70% of it that is ineffective.
I would be lowering the number.
Well, that's interesting. Back to Ozempic, that was an issue they were in, right? Is they were a company that was manufacturing insulin, and they had created this thing that would potentially cannibalize their insulin business.
Yeah.
And you're just hoping that that company believes that
Makes the right
they'll make
decision.
more money. You're just praying.
Yep.
And it does make you wonder how many. I'm not a big pharma conspiracy theory. Again, it's not binary. They're not good or bad.
Yeah.
They're both. They're
Yeah.
fucking,
As is all
You know
business.
what their incentives are.
Yeah.
yeah. It's not a
And
mystery.
when the incentives align, it's really nice.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't always align, and that
Yeah.
sucks.
I mean, I
But
think ideally they want it to be good and work and
Yeah.
for everyone so that they can sell
but
it
if
to
it
everyone.
cannibalizes their
Original-
existing,
yeah.
Yeah, and there's been evidence of some pharma companies being like, "Oh, this one's coming off patent. We need to create a new one to protect it, even if it's not that much." That happens.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and it's like a financial game for them. And
Oh, I've always wondered this, and you're someone who prescribes a lot of medicine. How the fuck are you staying on top of it? Like, I feel like half of your job would have to be evaluating the numerous medications that are constantly coming out. I watch 60 Minutes, and every episode I find out about three new medications.
there are new medications. I mean, being a primary care doctor, I have like a common arsenal of medications.
Yeah.
And we have really good resources these days called like one that I use often is called Up to Date, where I can literally punch in a condition. It'll give me some information about the epidemiology of it, how it presents in patients, what the first line, second line treatments are. Here's the evidence behind why, like you can click into it.
Yeah.
And then the dosages are all there. The length of days are all there. So like, that's what we use. And I use that quite often. I use that with the patients in the exam room. We look at it together.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And that's a service you're subscribing to,
Yeah.
paying for.
I
Oh,
mean, the hospital
The
uses it,
hospital
yeah.
does. What's your take on autoimmune diseases?
Do you
I
believe
guess I'm
in
trying
them?
to back you
Do I believe in them? Yes.
Okay. Well, some
I'm here.
Wait,
here-
people
here's-
don't believe in autoimmune disease?
No. I think I potentially have a fringe opinion about it
Oh, okay.
based on the fact that
I'd love
I
to
have
hear
one.
it.
I'll try to do the 4-second version. 7 years of pain, a joint locks up, get surgery on my toe, my knee locks up, I'm about to get surgery. A dermatologist looks at my fingernails and he says, I think you have psoriatic arthritis. You should go to a rheumatologist. I go, I get tested, psoriatic arthritis. I get put on Humira right away. After 8 years of trying to figure out why the fuck all this is happening, it's like a light switch. I have a year of no pain in my joints anymore. I'm like, oh my God, this is heaven. It stops working as good as it did. They wanted to up my dose. I didn't want to go that route of continuing to carpet bomb my immune system. So I was like, I'm not going to pursue this. I got to get off it. It was miserable. Through 3 or 4 years of trial and error, I've really fine-tuned my diet. I have a prescription for Xeljanz. I almost never have to use it. If I cheat and I'm on a vacation and I eat a bunch of hamburger buns, I will have to use it. So for me, anecdotally,
So it's like gluten related for you?
gluten, peanuts, garlic, a couple other things I'll forget while we're talking. But yeah, I have a very, very sugar. If I were to go eat 4 pieces of bread tomorrow morning, my forehead would be flaky, my eyebrows would flake, and my wrists would hurt. Right. My conclusion, and then talking to other people with different autoimmune diseases, is here's again, I have no business saying this theory, but I think we're all allergic to stuff. And I think these allergies can manifest in a lot of different ways, whether that's a Crohn autoimmune disease or it's a psoriatic arthritis thing, or I feel like a lot of the autoimmunes maybe originate in just allergies.
Well, if
You're
you
gonna
really think
blast
about
me.
what an allergy and an autoimmune condition is an allergy is an overreaction of your immune system. But which line of the immune system is important? Because the immune system takes various forms. There's different cell lines of the immune system. So when you have an allergic reaction, that's very specific. Sometimes a patient will tell me, oh, I don't like this antibiotic because I'm allergic. I say, well, what symptom do you have? They say, my tummy hurts. That's not an allergic reaction.
Okay.
That's an adverse reaction, not allergic.
Okay.
Allergic is a very specific reaction.
What's it defined by?
Swelling itchiness, hive.
Histamine release.
Correct. Mast cell, histamine, yes.
Yeah.
So that's an allergic reaction. When you have autoimmune reactions, now you're having cell lines damaging your existing tissue.
Because they, for whatever reason, if I understand it correctly, they've identified your tissue as a pathogen.
Correct. And not a pathogen, as an antigen that is bad.
Okay, great.
Yeah, maybe I get pathogens.
I'm
right,
really
too.
stuck on a patient saying my tummy hurts.
It's kind of
Like
cute.
an adult
Maybe they were
saying
flirting
that.
with you.
Yeah, I think I don't trust that person.
I wonder how many people fake illnesses to come
I know.
see my.
No, I most people
My
don't even know I have a social media
tummy
presence.
It doesn't matter. They meet you and they're like, "Fuck, I wouldn't mind going to see him again."
And then like, I had an allergic reaction. Oh
Let me
no.
ask: how many of your patients show up like they're going to a formal event?
No, they
dressed
don't
to the
know
nines?
that. They don't know.
They don't know they're going to see you.
Yeah.
Or
Or
you have recurring patients. No?
yeah, I do. But like, there are patients that I built up through residency. Like we have I know their
Okay,
families. Like I delivered some of their
My
babies.
bet your tummy would hurt a
hurts.
lot
Yeah,
if
my,
you
my
had-
tummy
Once
hurts.
you deliver someone's baby, your relationship changes.
Have you delivered babies?
Yeah, family medicine.
Well, but you're not an OBGYN. It's not like you're
I do
doing that.
pap smears. I deliver babies. Not anymore because I did that during my residency, but I still perform
Okay,
basic
got you.
GYN.
Great. But when's the last time you delivered a baby?
2017.
Okay. It's pretty good. That was 7 years ago.
I delivered 38 babies because I had to
38
get them.
babies?
I had to
Wow.
like document it for my like residency.
Oh, wow.
Do you have, I feel like I would have interest in keeping in touch with them. Is that a
Well,
weird?
they're my patients.
Oh,
You
they
still see-
then went on to be your patients,
Yeah.
the ones you delivered.
Yeah.
So those
That
are
must
the
be so
ones-
rewarding.
That's what I'm saying. Family medicine is so awesome.
Yeah, you bring them into the world and then you keep
Yeah.
them
Well,
healthy.
Those are the ones
And like
saying
some
my
of them like
tummy
write to me on
hurts. They're
social media,
babies.
and I'm like, this is crazy. Like,
That's why they're not abnormally attracted to him, because that thing happens with a
sick.
family
Oh.
member.
Sure.
Right.
Like when it's your sibling, you're not
Yes,
attracted
yes,
to your
yes,
sibling.
yes, yes, because you imprint their pheromones.
We
Go ahead.
figured it out.
We should fight about something.
yeah.
This was the explanation I learned in Anthro, which was, I think I learned in Anthro. I shouldn't say that. Yeah, that you imprint the pheromones of your family members, which turns off your sexual attraction to them.
wow.
But this is
I've
why
heard
there is a
that, too.
phenomenon. This is 100%. You could look this up. There's this really creepy phenomenon. I shouldn't say creepy. I shouldn't be judgmental. Where parent and child get reunited. There's a inordinate amount where they start dating.
No.
Yes, inordinate. In the general population
I
of
cannot
daughters
confirm or
dating
deny. This is
don't
outside of my
know.
expertise.
don't
daughters
know about
dating the general population rate of daughters dating dads is very minuscule, and in this population of people that have been reunited, there was an article I talked about it on the show. I had read it and talked about it.
I probably
It
white
sounds like you
noised
need an
it.
expert on that. to
We'll
come
do it
and
in the
talk
fact
about
check.
it.
We'll talk about this
Yeah.
phenomena. Moving on. Back to autoimmune though.
Okay, yeah. So autoimmune.
So
So your
What-
thought is that it's an allergy? What it kind of is, because an allergy is sort of autoimmune in that it's an overreaction. It's just not attacking your tissue. It's creating that inflammation, that histamine response, as you said.
yeah, I guess my intuition is that it's either through what you're putting into your body orally by eating it, or there's something obviously environmental that's coming into the system that's triggering
all.
this response.
It's all, and it's hard to know in each case which one it is.
Yeah.
It's,
Well, what's the conventional explanation for these autoimmunes? Why
you,
would
you
a
said
body
like
start?
what you're putting into your body? It's also what you're not putting into your body. So, like for example, parents that withhold peanut products from their children actually raise rates of peanut allergy.
Yeah.
So actually, that was a statement made by the American Academy of Pediatrics back in the day, like withhold peanut products, allergen foods, and then we saw that it caused a huge spike.
Yes.
So we
wow.
actually now recommend introduction through like Bamba and all these snacks.
It's like growing up with a pet.
Yeah.
You're drastically less likely to have a pet
So
allergy.
it's interesting how putting things into your body, not putting things into your body, environmental exposures, mental health.
Well, I was going
has
to
a
say, we look at
component.
the correlation
Yeah.
between autoimmune disorders and ACE scores is kind of really hard to
interesting.
deny.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, very
You're-
interesting. And talking about adverse childhood experiences, we see a lot, like, I'm sure you're familiar with the book, The Body Keeps the Score.
Oh, I love it.
Like, there's so much value in talking about that. And there's people who are anti some of the messages in that book.
Because they sound what, woo-y?
No. Well, yes, but also I've had experts on, like in the psychiatric space, that say like, well, there's no actual part of the body that keeps the score. I'm like, it's a metaphor. Like,
Yeah.
we can make a metaphor without
Yeah.
actually
Don't get
having
hung
the
up
thing-
on the title of a
semantics.
book.
Yeah. And it's like the statement was the body doesn't keep the score. The body's like the scoreboard. I'm like, all right,
boy.
like
Oh,
this
great.
is, yeah.
You won.
So I think that's true. And there's truth in that the mind is so much more powerful than we give credit to. That's why the placebo effect is true.
It's
That's
real.
why if you're able to have a positive mindset through your cancer journey, you're more likely to have better outcomes. Like all these things, like even like the Wim Hof and that whole world of it, which is not super evidence-based, there's like proof that they can modulate their immune system, that they can change the heat that's within their hands in a given moment. They can survive in extreme temperatures. Like there's truth in how powerful the mind is. What we do with that knowledge remains to be seen, and we need to use it responsibly, but it's cool.
It's not a far walk to the area we all agree on, which is under moments of great stress, your body's immune system amps itself up.
Yeah.
Preparing.
Yeah.
So, okay, great. We agree on that. Now, what could stress you out? What
can't stress you?
Yeah. But if you're an extreme A score person who's in a constant state of fight or flight, your immune system's likely to be probably overactive.
Overactive or underactive.
Right.
Remember, some of the steroids that the body creates are also immunomodulating, downregulating.
Explain that.
Like when you take prednisone, which is a corticosteroid, part of the side effect is that you could have higher rates of infection. It immunocompromises you.
Right.
And that's a corticosteroid. That's like what it is. That's how it works.
Yeah.
And the body naturally produces those steroids during moments of stress.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Are you aware of the uptick in emergency room visits for pickleballs? Have you seen the data on this? I keep reading headlines and they seem impossible to be true. Have you in your own practice?
Yeah, I've had a few. But isn't that because just pickleball is becoming more popular?
Yeah.
Okay.
But there was some, I'm not even going to attempt to say the statistic.
it
Eric
like
sent
so
us all the
ridiculous?
article.
Okay.
But it was a double-digit percentage of emergency room visits last year were pickleball related.
Well, I can actually see why that's happening is because the population that plays pickleball is usually older.
Yes,
People who
exactly.
can't play tennis because it's a little bit too physically demanding.
Yeah.
So they try out this sport.
Are you
They
calling
think
me
it's
a
low
wimp?
impact. No, but that's just the population trend that I've seen.
Yeah.
And they
49 or above.
yeah, I would probably say my patient population is like 60 plus usually. play
Yeah,
pickleball.
no, yeah, I think
And that's
right.
like when rates of
Tears
tears and arthritis are already high. So
Yeah.
you know who also has an uptick in injuries? People who get use testosterone treatments.
Because they're overexerting in the gym, or
Yeah, especially if they go into the supra physiological levels that you were talking about, like the 1500s and all that.
Yeah.
Because they have really high levels. They're sometimes of older age. Their muscles can't take that.
Yeah.
And they tear a bicep.
Okay, so you deal a lot in studies.
Yep.
And I imagine you do your best to do maybe more the meta analysis of many, many studies. I have grown, and I've read some things recently that I've just grown more and more skeptical of studies in general.
Okay. Tell me more.
Well, let's just discuss how hard it is to study a human being and a single variable within a human being. It's just like, it's so, what do we, you're going to stay with this subject the entire day and the entire week and month. Like, there's so much going on. If you had to rate studies across the board, especially all these ones that are making it into the news cycle, and on, like, what grade do you give it?
It's just very broad because there's like nutritional studies aren't great notoriously because most are not so controlled. There have been new ones where they actually like had people on locked wards and they
Right.
controlled what they ate, that's like the gold standard.
That's all we would really care
we'd
to
want.
hear about, really.
But when we're testing like medications and such, you can control a lot of the variables to get a sense of what's happening.
Yeah.
And because in these studies, what you're doing is you're controlling one variable. And if you start seeing a statistically significant and clinically significant result, that's pretty good as long as it's replicatable.
Yeah.
So hopefully that you're able to do another study and say, oh yeah, look, these results hold up.
Right. So I guess, what level of skepticism do you start?
100%.
Yeah. You start skeptical, and they
massive
must prove it to
skepticism.
you.
And in fact, one study is rarely enough to change our general way of practicing. That's not because we're slow to adapt. It's because one study in comparison to many studies, doesn't hold that amount of value.
Right.
So we need to see in general, okay, studies are starting to move in this direction. Okay, let's see how it's moving.
Yeah.
And we're very patient with it. Whereas people want to I saw that one study, let's change everything.
Yeah, and if you hear something on the news about red meat, I think your next question should be like, how many other studies also
exactly.
have said that?
Yeah.
Because boy, these make the headlines. These one-offs seem to make so much
For sure.
headlines.
That's the biggest headlines and why people are so confused. I mean, how often did we hear that coffee's terrible for us? Coffee's good for us. Coffee causes cancer. It prevents cancer. It's
Same
like,
with eggs.
fat.
yeah, eggs.
Oh my
Fat.
God.
Yeah.
I was on a fat-free diet when I was 20.
I mean, that was a popular sticker on labels.
Yeah.
It was
Yes.
like fat-free.
Fat-free.
But triple the sugar
Yes.
to make it taste a little bit more better.
You're a big fan of lifestyle changes. That's for
sure.
the most powerful thing we can do for our health, yeah?
That's under our control.
That's under our control.
Probably the biggest, yeah.
The one I like to think about is surgery versus physical therapy.
Oh, okay. For musculoskeletal stuff.
Yeah. tell
That's
us
my
about-
world. I'm a DO, so like I'm about that, yeah.
Yeah, so tell me in general, like what kind of outcomes you expect with physical therapy versus surgery.
Well, again, very dependent on condition, but in general, what I see people knee-jerk reaction when they have pain or they want better performance is fix it.
Yeah.
And really what we need to focus on is the body's own ability to heal itself. That's the magical thing. So we either have to intervene when necessary or stay out of its way. So intervention when it comes to like surgery should be like the small minority of the time, or in like traumas, whereas people think that's the treatment for all problems.
Step one.
Step one is not surgery, minus the extremes.
Sure.
So like people say, oh my God, you're finding that I have a torn meniscus. That means surgery right away. No, I have my labrum's torn in 2 places right now. I have a torn rotator cuff. My shoulder works great.
Right.
So just because you have that injury doesn't mean you're doomed for surgery. And that's why we don't jump to the MRI. And sometimes patients get upset, like, you don't want to get imaging. Well, I say, number one, your insurance probably won't pay for it. So are you cool paying for it out of pocket? Most people say no.
Yeah, right.
And then if they say yes, I say, just realize that we might find something that we didn't care about finding in the first place.
Yes.
And if people are okay with that, I get them the MRI and they can continue on their way. But unless I'm planning for surgery, or I'm really confused, or we've tried conservative management through physical therapy, activity modification, I'm not really getting imaging.
Do you think, and this is, admittedly, I've had so many surgeries, I have no business saying this, but do you think we are, in generally speaking, an over-surgery option
I would
society?
say we're over intervention.
Over-intervention. We don't have enough faith in the body's
Yeah,
ability
there's like needs to be a little bit more patience and understanding of how the human body heals itself. And when it comes to musculoskeletal stuff, we have like so few modalities to actually help. Like if you really think if someone comes in with like, let's say knee pain, we have some medications over the counter, you know, the acetaminophen, ibuprofens of the world, and there's different classes within there.
I like NSAIDs.
Yeah, well, ibuprofen is a good example of that. People use those a lot. Maybe overuse them, create gastric ulcers, kidney issues. That happens. Also, those who have high cardiovascular risk should be talking to their doctor if they should be using NSAIDs regularly. Important.
Wink, wink, wink.
I love Advil.
I love them.
Then there's physical therapy, which is like the gold standard. I love physical therapy. That's good, even if it doesn't help your initial problem. Like it's going to be valuable.
Right, you're going to end up strengthening something
Yeah.
along
You're
the
going
way.
to decrease fall risk. You'll get better balance. You'll have better flexibility, better performance, all that good stuff. Then we have like some injectables, which have really bad evidence.
This would be getting the steroid shot to a joint or something?
Well, steroid shot, we know what it does, but it usually is not a long-lasting intervention.
Yeah.
So it's like a temporary relief of a situation. There's like injections that we do for arthritis where it mimics the synovial fluid in hopes of decreasing arthritic pain. And the evidence for that is really low
What's
quality.
synovial fluid?
It's the fluid that's within the joint that allows it to be lubricated.
okay, great.
So there's some like prescription products that you come in for every few months, these injections multiple times, and the evidence for them is not great, but the placebo effect is wonderful.
Yeah.
So people
What
like them.
about PRP and stem
That was the next
cell?
step. Yeah.
Yeah.
So PRP is interesting because we found some evidence in some body parts, and then we said, put it everywhere.
Right.
Put it on the scalp, put it in the vampire facials, put it in penises, put it everywhere.
Yeah.
And
Carpet bomb.
Yeah, it's like a little preliminary.
How does PRP work? Am I right? They take some blood, they spin it, they get out the plasma, they re-inject that somewhere? Is
Correct. So basically, there's growth factors within the blood that it's called platelet-rich prolotherapy. And we take those growth factors, we spin them down because they're heavier, so they'll sit lower. You inject them into a joint, and you hope that they create inflammation and healing. So it's funny. We used to like decrease inflammation to
Yeah.
hope healing happens. Now we're increasing inflammation because initially prolotherapy started with injecting just sugar into joints, dextrose.
Oh, really?
And they would create massive inflammation. We thought that stimulated healing because it brought growth factors. But then they created platelet-rich prolotherapy.
They're skipping a step.
Well, they're not skipping a step. They're trying to create like the better new science
Replace the
version.
sugar.
And there's been some evidence for medial epicondylitis.
You're so embarrassed that I got that wrong.
And
Not
they,
from Dr. Mike.
Shut Don't interrupt Mike again.
well, whatever. So anyway, PRP.
And what about stem cell? There was a great, I think it was the second season of Dr. Death, maybe it was about these crazy stem cell
Yeah.
treatments. People were getting these massive infections. and
Yeah, to be
totally
honest,
unregulated.
I'm not well versed in the stem cell
Okay.
world because it's not mainstream enough to be in my purview. But
Right.
from what I've seen, there's a lot of people taking advantage of folks with these stem cell clinics abroad. And
Yeah, like they might have some promising future, but again, it's almost like probiotics.
yeah, well, like I don't know, literally haven't seen enough, haven't documented enough. So
I would urge people that when they're taking advice from people, they should minimally ask themselves, are they an expert in this?
yeah, I want it to be that, and I wish it was that simple. But then there's even experts in some fields that
Aren't
do
even
some
experts in their
inaccurate
field
stuff,
that they're-
that bias that we sometimes have.
Yeah.
Where like I'm a doctor, so I know.
Well, in its most
Yeah.
extreme case, we see it with the tech entrepreneurs, which
Yeah.
is they have demonstrated a genius in this category, and now we listen to them on biohacking,
Yeah.
and it's very curious.
Yeah.
But you're like, well, he's one of the smartest people in the world, so surely I should probably
It doesn't
trust his-
translate.
It doesn't, right? But-
Well, it's what Lane Norton said on my podcast about Nobel Prize syndrome. So, like, those who win Nobel Prizes have also believed in some, like, incredibly wild and accurate theory as well, because they were so smart that they convinced themselves they were right. Well, like Linus Pauling believed, like, vitamin C can cure anything and cure cancer, and then Linus Pauling died of cancer. It's, like, the classic example.
yeah,
like Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
yeah, that one.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, you're
I mean,
so
that's
smart.
like the example of
That's
the
Dunning-Kruger.
rich people getting bad outcomes.
Yes.
You have the Steve Jobs example or like the Michael Jackson example where they say, give me that medicine
Yeah.
because I'm a celebrity. Or now we're kind of seeing it with Matthew Perry.
Yeah.
You know, you're a celebrity. You can demand it. And that's why, like, I've never really been successful at allowing celebrities into the practice where I practice. They ask for things. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but this isn't ideal. And then when they don't get it, they get mad and they seek the care elsewhere. I'm like, great. Like,
Yeah, go.
That's-
They can go.
yeah.
Doctor shopping.
yeah.
Yeah. Now, to talk about the Matthew Perry thing for 1 second, I will say one thing that's aggravating me about the stuff that's coming out is, and again, I'm coming from a very specific place. I'm an addict. I think it's okay if I now say I was around him in his pursuit of sobriety. Holding this assistant, trying to hold this assistant accountable
I agree.
is to
I
me,
love it.
it's we're hurt, we're sad, it's a tragedy. We just can't resist wanting to blame somebody. But unfortunately, the addict is to blame. I'm to
Yeah.
blame. I had a great fucking doctor do a surgery. I haven't told him everything. I call for more. I ran out of my, like, that's too much for someone to manage someone's entire personal life or know what's going on. Now, when you're a doctor and your only patient's Michael Jackson and you're putting him to sleep every night with propofol, now that line for me is really clear.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
criminal, no?
Yeah. Well, that's like criminal negligence. You know what you're doing at that point.
Yes, you're also not disenfranchised. Like an assistant
I
who's
know,
working
I'm-
paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a difference between ethical, moral lines and then legal lines. Because, like, even if someone did something by accident and then a life was lost, maybe legally there is some kind of rule that they're crossing.
Yeah.
But legal doesn't always mean moral, and moral doesn't always mean legal. So, like,
Totally.
those lines always cross.
Well,
Yeah, when-
addicts, it's just they're fucking slippery. Like you don't know what he said to her, even if she.
Oh yeah, us
did
addicts are
think-
tricky.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very tricky, and people who, one, haven't been around an addict don't know that, and two, who haven't been an assistant don't know what that's like either. Where you're just like, I guess I have to do all these things. Like it's a weird
Well,
position.
your livelihood's on
Your whole
the
life,
line.
yeah.
Yeah.
In your career, you feel like if I don't do this, then I'll never get hired again.
For
I mean,
sure,
it's very
yeah.
tricky.
That's scary. There's the power dynamics. Of it all.
Yes.
But speaking of addicts, I listened to day 7 on my way here.
Oh, you did.
Your
That's a
episode,
little
very
bit heavy
powerful.
for a
Yeah,
ride here.
I wanna like, you guys are doing great work. I gotta say thank you
Oh,
for
thank
that,
you.
for
That's nice.
for being open and sharing that journey. Like, it's awesome for me as even a doctor to hear that perspective, because a lot of times what's said in an exam room is not as honest and open as how you guys talk about it.
Yeah.
So I thank you for like the openness
Oh,
of that
thank you.
conversation, because I think it does a lot of good from a humanistic standpoint for people to understand what happens behind the scenes in these scenarios.
Yeah.
And they're not often talked about because embarrassment, shame, fear, all the things that you guys discussed on the episode, but it's so powerful. I think that
Thank you.
that leading by example there is powerful.
It's hard for me to take a compliment about that episode, but thank you. It's weird to now feel like it's always tricky for me, but I really appreciate that. Okay, we've come to a new segment on our first episode of video, which is questions my daughter was dying to ask you.
Okay.
I told her a few days ago, you have a couple days to write down. So I'm going to allow you 5 questions. Oh, P.S. Dad, ask him if he can do a Russian accent.
Oh my God.
I could do the Borat thing.
P.S. Dad.
P.S. that.
So that's not one of her
Why
questions.
does she want the Russian accent? That's the weirdest request.
Well, because he knows you're from Russia.
But like, is that like a Russian villain thing? Like, where's
Who
that
knows
coming
what
from?
she's
Yeah,
thinking of?
who
Yeah,
knows?
presumably she saw it in some teenage caper where there was a Russian film.
Okay, fair. I'll answer one of the questions in a Russian.
Oh wow.
Okay. Oh my God, this is great. This is great. Who is the better snuggler, Rib or Bear? Maybe we should first say
Are
who
these
Rib
dogs?
and Bear are.
Oh yeah. So I have 2 Newfoundlands, 2 giant
And you
dogs.
love Newfoundland.
I had one as a kid.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So
What
you
do
know
they
how
weigh?
amazing. Bear is 130, and Rib is already like 110, and he's 6 months.
Oh my
so
God.
he's gonna be a monster.
Yeah, maybe 160 we'll get to.
Oh my God.
They suck at cuddling.
Okay.
Both.
They do.
They get too hot.
They do, and they start foaming.
They start foaming, and he's like can't breathing and panting, so they go on the floor and they go on the tile. So I get very limited cuddles.
Cold plunge. We're back. Do you know the origin
You know
of
they're
their
in
breed?
the pool all the time.
Of course,
I
you
can't
know-
get them out of the pool.
You know the origin of the Newfoundland?
Yeah, of course. They're like the rescue swimming dogs.
Yeah, they're the St.
Have you
Bernards
seen
of
the
the water.
videos? In Italy, they throw them out of helicopters.
No.
Yeah, there's like videos on YouTube.
Awesome.
And they go and they rescue people.
It's
Wait,
so
they
cool.
save drowners?
So you know
I
St.
should get one.
St. Bernards
Why do you drown
would go
often?
find
I'm not sure about my swimming skills, so it'd be good to have one around.
I think this is right. St. Bernards would rescue people in like avalanches and Arctic conditions.
Them and like Bernese Mountain Dogs, like the Swiss.
And so the Newfoundlands are that version, but of the water. And sailors would shipwreck out, and they would release these dogs, and the people would hang on to them. They fucking swim.
And they
in.
would pull like heavy loads and all
We had a
that.
book growing up, and it was all the championship dogs. In
Oh,
fact,
really?
ours was from like
The
its
cart
great
pullers?
grandfather had. Yeah, there's a picture of it, like 70 enormous trees on a sleigh pulling it through the.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they can
They're
pull
awesome.
thousands of pounds. They're very
Such
cool,
great dogs.
but the slobbering is rough.
This, so they
You
don't
thought about a
they don't
surgical
shed
option.
really, but the slobbering is wow.
It is.
Wow. On the ceiling, because they do the
Oh, God.
Gets
yeah.
on the
in the
ceiling.
food when
Oh,
you're eating.
no. No thanks.
It's everywhere.
Okay,
So that's the
number
downside.
2. Forgive me.
Oh,
Have you ever farted in front of a patient?
Good question.
is it?
It's
Is
pretty
it?
great.
It's really good.
Because I have farted in, not only in front of a guest, on a
On
guest,
one.
and it became
On a guest.
Wow.
because
Were you tickling
I did
them?
not
Were
feel
they
this
tickling you?
coming. We stepped
It was a
outside to
surprise
take
for
our
me.
picture, and as I put my arm around her, I farted, and it was audible. And I was like, I can't. I go, oh my god,
So what
I'm
do you
so
say?
sorry.
Oh,
I
you said it.
farted.
Oh.
She now does a show with Monica.
Yeah, now
it worked
we're all
out
very
great.
good friends. It
now
worked
it's in the
out.
family. I think it was a great icebreaker. I cut right to like
I mean, that happens. It's the human body.
yes. So that's a yes.
The answer is yes. And I believe it was during like an 8-hour surgery when I was a med student.
Okay.
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 But
and,
that's because like
But you had plausible deniability because there's 8 people in the room.
Yeah, there's people in the room, and then maybe
And
the
the
patient.
body smells.
Maybe the patient.
The body has all kinds of stuff.
The person's alive still. It's not a
Still,
body.
it's
It wasn't an
open.
autopsy.
I don't know.
Yeah, because if you were in the room with just the patient and start smelling, there's only 2.
Then you would have to apologize.
Yeah, that would be rough.
It's not the. It's the.
Would you ignore it? You would ignore it.
I mean,
would you
it
apologize?
depends.
It'd have to be really pungent.
If it was pungent, I would.
Yeah,
Apologize.
you'd have to go.
If you could
Holy
pick it up
smokes.
on the patient's face.
And you got to go straight to an excuse. You go, holy smokes, I'm so sorry. I
Yeah.
tried a new restaurant today. I'm definitely never going back. Like, you'd have to.
I
throw
would
someone
try
under the
not
bus.
to put a lot of story into it because
Yeah,
that
just
makes it
move
more
on.
memorable.
Yeah. What happens if there's like a tummy, going back to that word, tummy incident during surgery?
From the patient or the doctor?
No, the doctor.
Oh, like if they have to leave to have.
Yeah. Has that happened?
I'm sure it happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can take a bathroom break.
Yeah.
It sounds
You
Well,
just have
remember,
to
there's like
re-scrub and
there's. Well, you do have to re-scrub.
Well, yeah.
What if you didn't re-scrub?
I didn't
Dax.
think you didn't have to. I
Okay.
just said, yeah, you'd have to
fecal matter is
re-scrub.
excused.
Yeah.
The exam room.
Well, if it's
Fecal transplant, C. diff
exactly.
patient, you
It's
might
a
save
C.
their
diff.
life.
Yeah, true.
That's not a surgical thing though.
Where did you go to middle school? She just started middle school, so that's
PS 104 in Brooklyn.
PS 104 Brooklyn. Have you been delighted to see Brooklyn come up in the way it has, or has it been annoying?
Come up. I haven't realized Brooklyn was coming up.
Oh, it's very
What are you
cool.
talking about?
Really?
Brooklyn is
I
the
always thought
cool-
it was cool. That's why I don't know. Like,
People only lived
I
in
love
Manhattan,
Brooklyn.
and now everyone wants to live in
Oh, is
Brooklyn.
that true?
That's
Yeah.
a change.
I loved Brooklyn growing up.
Okay, so
And then I had
PS
to move to Staten Island for high school, which I wasn't like a fan of.
wasn't
It wasn't a choice.
a lot of Guidos out there. What was the vibe?
You know what's funny? I had the Pauly D hairstyle when I was in high
You
school.
did?
Yeah, I have pictures on my phone.
Good
It's,
for
like,
you.
Really bad. But
Okay.
I had to fit in.
Yeah,
You got no
must.
choice.
You had to
must.
They
survive.
simulate.
Yeah.
You were a Russian Jew. You had to get that hair as high as you
I had to
could.
figure it out.
Do you want a third newfie?
I was very close to getting a third dog this week. So it's like
Oh,
someone clearly knows me very well.
Well,
Yeah.
she wait till you.
And I
meet
didn't
her.
even say anything.
She probably knows more of your episodes than you do.
oh my God.
Well, okay.
Are you her Matt Damon?
Oh, big time. She's not old enough to know she's in love with you, but she's in love with you.
that's so
It's kind of
exciting.
adorable.
She
Yeah.
But wait,
to
what
meet
happened
you.
to Matt Damon?
Oh no, he's my.
Oh,
He,
Dr. Mike.
he to me is Dr. Mike to Lincoln.
okay, fair. So yeah, so before I got Rib, I was talking to a friend of mine that recently got a Bernese Mountain Dog.
I love those.
And they were like, it's amazing. You have to talk to his breeder, put a deposit down. And like, I was like, okay, let's just put it down because who knows when they'll come.
Yeah.
It's like whenever my dog gets pregnant, you'll be like the first to know.
Right.
And she messaged me this week and she's like, you ready? And I'm like, left her on red for now. So I haven't decided yet.
Yeah. Oh.
Maybe
It's
this
hard.
question
Raising a
tip-
puppy's hard.
Oh my God.
And like
yes.
I take it serious. Like I do the whole crate training thing every 2 hours out.
Wow.
It disrupts your life.
Yeah, my wife is the ultimate dog person, but she has a rule: no puppies, not a chance.
Okay.
She's like, let someone else deal with all that. We'll take them
That's
when
the
they're
hard
fucking
part.
broken. We've got a 3-legged one inside.
Oh, my
Mess.
husky's 3-legged right
Oh,
now.
really?
Yeah. Lives with
Oh,
my
I
dad.
know
Yeah.
this. This is kind of sad.
Yeah.
Had a Band-Aid that was on too tight and caused gangrene.
That's what we suspect. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Are you impressed with the research?
That's great research.
Thank you so
I mean, the
much.
fact that you knew the dates when things happened was impressive earlier.
Okay, great. How was it moving from the city? I think she means away from the city.
Yeah. I still have my apartment in the city, but I find myself spending less and less time there. I'm like realizing that I'm a nature person, which growing up in Brooklyn, you never thought that's something that you would identify
You're not
with.
even aware that it
Yeah.
exists.
And now I'm just like, I like sitting with the tree.
You're in upstate New York?
Yeah.
Dr. Mike, this has been a blast.
I had fun.
Yeah,
This
did
is
you have
cool.
fun?
It's surreal. Like, it's awesome. Like,
Yeah, so
watching
for me
you guys
too.
from afar.
You really threw me for a loop with that height.
Oh.
I mean, I'm still kind of recovering from that first introduction.
Well, do you do any boxing?
I don't.
Oh, I was going to say we could spar or something.
You fought an influencer.
I fought an influencer, and then I fought on Showtime pay-per-view boxing.
Yeah, you were the undercard for
Anderson Silva and Jake Paul. Yeah.
yeah.
Whoa.
Were you shocked that he beat Silva? I was.
Very.
Yeah.
Very. I was also
gotta
more
take
shocked
that
that I
kid-
lost like right before that, so I was a little
She was
not
the bad
myself.
guy
Yeah.
across the board.
Yeah. Because, you know,
There were a
Like,
lot of
today's
I gave up a
off.
lot of time training for that.
A lot of surprises
Yeah.
that evening. Do you watch couples therapy?
No, what's that?
Couldn't recommend it enough. It's a great show.
It's like-
Orna's a therapist in Brooklyn. Yeah, I think Brooklyn. It is intoxicatingly
Okay,
great.
couples therapy.
Yeah,
Forced
it's working on all the
Incredible.
levels. It's like you're rubbernecking, and then there's enormous breakthroughs that are incredibly
Wow.
empowering, and like it's
It's
the best
so
show.
good.
Is it weird watching shows being in Hollywood? Like,
You should watch with my
Behind the
wife and I.
scenes?
Yeah,
you should watch what?
you should watch a show with my wife
Yeah,
and
like
I.
you know how I watch Grey's Anatomy? I'm always like yelling at the screen. Are you guys doing the same thing?
We're saying stuff like this, like we're watching Game of Thrones, right? And one of us will go like, "Oh fuck." One of the leads is in the deep background of the wide.
Yeah.
And you know they shot this scene for like 6 days and they have no lines and they had to sit in that crowd for 6 days and it's raining and they have nothing to do. Like that's the kind of
That's the
stuff.
kind of stuff. The
We're just
inside
overly
knowledge.
aware of how the sausage is made, or we'll see tricks that they tried to pull off or whatever. You know,
Kristen is the hair police. We call her the hair police because she can always tell if someone's wearing like extensions or a
Okay.
wig, which most people cannot tell. They do a pretty good job, and she'll use her laser.
She has a laser pointer.
pointer.
She'll pause and she'll go, see
Oh,
that
a
the
laser
real
pointer,
hair
okay.
stops there, and then see all the, and we're like, yes,
Oh,
we
that's
see
fun.
it.
We get
That's the only
it.
problem with her hair policing is we acknowledge she's right.
She wants
but
to keep
keeps
going.
It's a
She
master
really
class.
wants to keep
Got it.
going.
every time. Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like a bunch of fun watching.
And we
shows.
have this game we play because on sets, all the PAs and the ADs, they all have earpieces and walkie-talkies, and then the microphones clipped to their shirt. And so often, you and I, I'm an AD, and we're talking, and I'm listening, and I go, and I go, no, we'll go to 3. No, I don't want to have this conversation on 6. Okay, great, go to 3. Who didn't show up? You can't tell if they're listening.
Sure.
So when we're watching TV, quite often there'll be a pause and I'll go, Mike, go to 2. What's wardrobe? Why are they in this look? Is that their personal? It is. That's a personal hat. Well, you got to tell them they cannot wear their personal hat in this scene. So we play go to 2 when we're watching
That's
TV.
funny.
Yeah,
Okay.
it can take us 3 hours to watch a 1
But that
hour.
makes it more entertaining. That's cool. that
It's
you
really
guys have
fun.
that,
It's
yeah.
probably our biggest hobby.
Wow. So what's the favorite show right now? Is it couples therapy? Is that what you guys are watching?
Well, we burned through
Yeah.
that.
I love Only Murders in the Building.
loves-
Okay.
I love that show.
Where is that? You guys are still talking about show.
man.
I just finished Presumed Innocent.
Oh, me too.
That's so good.
It was good.
the ending?
I know. We're
Great.
not going to spoil it. Dax hasn't seen
Although I
it
saw
yet.
the movie, it has to be the same ending.
It-
We don't
there's-
know. We're not going to say.
We're not gonna
There's
say.
twists. Okay.
We're not going to say. But I did really.
Did you
like
watch
it.
Fallout?
No, I played the game though.
Oh, then you would even be more incentivized
Yeah,
to
I need
watch
to
it. It's
watch it.
fantastic. What else do we
else have we
love? Chimp Crazy
What's that? I've never
Nat-
heard of
by
it.
the makers of Tiger King. Tiger King.
It's
Yeah.
on Netflix.
It's on Max.
Okay.
Same director.
Chimp Crazy.
And of course, now we're exploring people who own chimpanzees, which, as you and I
Oh,
would both
Chimp
agree,
Crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
terrible idea to own a
Really?
male sexually active chimp.
Oh, what about a spider monkey? Those look like fun.
You're not going to have your face eaten off by
Okay,
it
fair.
with.
Yeah, I heard that happening.
Oh, I'll quiz you,
Yeah.
and don't give me your real answer because you know I'm
Well, you
asking
think I've been giving you fake answers?
Yes,
as well?
and I'll tell you why. We have a bias to not be made a fool of, basically. So if I ask you, like, how many times you think blank, you already know it's going to be higher than I would think or lower, right? The fact that I'm asking you a question, there's a hint in there that it's a shocking number, right? So
Okay.
then you try to adjust.
Okay, so don't
And what I'm
adjust.
asking you is to give me the answer you would have really given me without any
Okay.
prep. How many times do you think a male chimpanzee has sex in the wild in a day? What would be your real guess?
1.
I probably would have went 5. I kind of know their mating strategy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you? That's a.
Well, because I was an anthro
Anthropology.
major and I love primates, right?
Okay.
And they have enormous testicles, which is the giveaway of their
Okay.
mating strategy, which is just spread it everywhere. 50 times a day. 50
Yikes.
Interesting.
times a day. They're only awake 12 hours, Mike.
So what does that
That's
mean
5
for
times-
proportion of the day? Forget the times. Give me the.
Yeah, 'cause
what
how long-
what is the
Well,
proportion
very
to
quick.
eating, sleeping, and sex?
That's a great question. There should be a pie chart. I'll get my
Yeah.
hands on that. But the sex, let's be
'Cause, like,
honest.
how long is it- like, what
it's
is
not
sex?
for her
Is it
pleasure.
pumps?
They're in and out.
That's what I'm
Let's be
saying.
honest. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Have you seen a lion
Yeah.
mate?
No.
Oh, I have millions. of
Clearly,
times.
I need to get on this.
Boom,
Male
boom.
chimps. It just sucks.
Unless you're a bonobo chimp, then you're having female and female. You're having they're very
so okay.
inclusive.
It's just when we say the male chimps are having sex 50 times a day, that means the female chimps are also having sex 50
But-
times
but
a day, but with
it's
no
split up.
excitement.
right? So the male chimp's not having sex with the same female 50 times a day. He's having sex with multiple females in a
Right. So
day.
she also has multiple.
So like,
partners.
is the whole rabbit thing a fallacy?
What's the rabbit thing?
Well, like they say, like rabbits
Oh,
hump
yeah.
all the time or whatever.
Oh, high
like
fecundity
fuck
rate.
like rabbits.
That's a great word.
One more
isn't it?
time?
High fecundity rate.
High fecundity
That's how
rate.
quickly they
Use that.
reproduce.
Yeah, high fecundity.
Oh my god, I knew one word you didn't know.
That's a
I'm
great
gonna
word.
write that on.
High fecundity.
I might get a painting made that says fecundity. But my point being is, if you have this animal that in its natural state should be fucking 50 times a day, and it's in your household with all that crazy venom.
Well, I've seen like people like aggressive dogs. They're like, oh yeah, you got to relieve them. I've seen that. I don't know if that's like.
Well, we
good
know
or
that
bad.
if you castrate them, they're
Well, that's true.
infinitely less
Yeah.
aggressive.
But the relieving component of it.
Well, then we get into this. We're very obsessed with dolphins and people who've
Yeah.
had sex with dolphins.
Oh yeah, didn't you say like dolphins always do it consensually or something?
No.
No, they don't.
What we were hypothesizing is now morally, clearly, legally, no. This is, let's be
We'll
very
say
clear
it on
about
camera
this.
for the first time.
Yes.
Having sex
No one
with
should ever have
animals
sex
is
with a dolphin.
amoral.
Is
But-
this happening?
Yes, many people and some scientists have had sex with dolphins. And
About
Like
many.
correctly? Like anatomically, what does that mean? Blowhole?
no.
It's a male dolphin.
It's always
Male
male
penis.
dolphins
See,
having sex.
I'm learning so much today.
So when you go through, okay, it's bad, it's no good, but we can establish a hierarchy of what would be the most evil and what would be the least evil to cross that line with. Because like a sheep doesn't want to have sex with a human being. The dolphin wants to have sex with a human.
Dolphins
They've
are
shown
very
it time
horny.
and time again.
Really?
There's so much footage of these people swimming with dolphins for their fun thing, and the dolphin male gets on top of some poor swimmer and starts pumping away. They want to have sex with human females.
We should stop allowing children at these like dolphin
Well, we
parks.
shouldn't have these things to begin
They
with.
know about like 18 and consent.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they
Okay.
know about
Yeah,
all of
they
that.
have dolphin school.
Yeah.
And did you see this viral videos? I mean, they're so perverted, it's insane. This one dolphin got an
One guy.
anaconda in its mouth and it was swimming up the Amazon, and it was fucking the dead anaconda.
Yeah, they're
while
pretty
it was swimming
nasty.
with
They're
its tail.
perverted.
They are the most perverted animal.
I am gonna have the weirdest flight back to New York. I hope they don't track
I
my
bring all this
watches.
up only to say there was this documentary in the 80s, and it was about this team of researchers, and this female scientist just says very matter-of-factly, she said, you just couldn't study them unless when you got in the pool with them, you quickly relieve them, and then you could study them. Because until then, the only thing they're trying to do is have sex with you. So you got to kind of do that to even get into the study.
So is this the same for anthropology and ape research?
I've not heard the tales like these dolphin situations. There was also famously a female dolphin that was in love with her male scientist, and when he left, she killed herself. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was
How does the
sad.
dolphin do that?
She like swam.
So
She
does it eat?
suffocated herself somehow. She didn't come up for air.
We also had a Armchair Anonymous story where we talked to listeners, and there was a man who had like a small, short love affair, not sexual, but real
Well, for
love
the dolphin.
affair with this dolphin.
Interesting.
And they're very smart, and there's some human-like stuff, and then obviously this sexual component. It's very interesting. Wow. So we've told everyone if they listen and they are attracted to dolphins that they can always just
That a safe way to say it would just be to write hashtag dolphin asparagus. And you're not really
In the
admitting to
comments.
anything, but we will know what you mean.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Like if you're in love
Got
with
it.
dolphins.
like if
and
you
they-
want to
dolphin
comment, you want to tell us that actually it's me, I'm in love with dolphins. That's how you can do
Dolphin
it.
asparagus. Wow.
They have a really impressive mass to neocortex ratio,
Okay.
which is relevant here, I think.
Because that makes them
You should only
good
be dating
decision
people that are
makers.
meant to. Yes. They can stand by their decisions. They can't be ruled incompetent in a courtroom.
Okay.
They're very with it.
yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was
fun.
maybe the funnest part. The gutter is always a fun place to
yeah,
splash
we love
around
it
for a
there.
little bit.
A little dolphin humor goes a long way.
Well, thank you so much for being our first
Thank
video
you.
guest.
Yes.
This was so awesome.
That's so cool.
We picked you because you're so handsome.
If you
Yeah, great for
if you
camera.
guys make your way to New York, I'd love to
Oh.
reciprocate, and I can ask you all the questions about
I'd love to, and we're
anthropology.
actually going to be there in a minute. Funny enough.
We are,
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
So anytime you would
Easy
want to
plan.
have
We're in
us, then
Midtown
there.
Manhattan, so
Okay.
easy
That's-
enough. Have you guys been to like Peak or The Edge?
No.
Oh, I got to take you there.
Peak or the edge?
So the Edge is the highest point observatory deck in New York where you can go outside and overlook the city. But what's cool is there's a little triangle. I can't stand on it, but you could see all the way down to the floor. And people like lay on it. It's a whole adventure. And then you can eat there. It's like a really good quality restaurant.
Oh,
So
and the
cool.
burger's great.
everything they make is great.
Okay, what's your
I stand
favorite
behind
burger
it.
in the city, though?
You know, it's funny. I like garbage burgers. Like I like Five Guys. I like Shake Shack. I
that.
like that
Those
stuff.
are
I
all
like
good.
that too.
Yeah, but that's like not sexy to
There's
say.
not a
you
bad-
know,
Well, it's
like-
fine.
There's hardly a bad burger.
Yeah, it's like it's hard to
We
go
like
wrong.
mixed messages.
I mean, I grew up in Brooklyn, so you can imagine.
Which
My
was
diet's
always
not
great,
great.
apparently.
Yeah.
It's always,
Yes,
always,
I guess so.
always
Brooklyn
good.
was always awesome. I don't know. Like I treasure my childhood in Brooklyn.
Well, Dr. Mike, this has been
you.
incredible,
Yeah, of course.
and you're going to have to oblige me because now I'm going to introduce you to my daughter, and she's going
Let's do it.
All right.
I'm excited.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming.
Yeah.
Hi there, this is Hermie and Permium. If you like that, you're going to love the fact check with Miss Monica. Fui. I take fui. I take fall.
flea.
I'm so lonely. I took 4 Advils,
Oh, to have you with your friends?
so I won't wake up for a while and feel
No, that's so sad. It's too dark.
Don't look in my Advil collection. They're all gone. Are we rolling, Robbie?
That is
Okay.
a ding ding ding.
Hmm.
Because this is for Dr. Mike, and we talk about
Elmo Fuad.
NSAIDs. We don't talk about Elmer Fudd, but we talk about NSAID. We talk about Advil.
Oh, NSAIDs.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying incest. I'm like, I do not recall talking
We probably
about incest
did.
with Dr. Mike.
We could have.
We could have.
He was very playful doc.
A rare thing happened. He stayed
Oh,
the whole evening.
oh, fun.
He even got his agent who was down the street waiting for him, and they had a flight at like 10 something. And fully for me, because I liked him so much, but
Mhm.
also Lincoln loves him.
Yeah.
So I was like, we're chatting by the gate, and I was like, if you guys want to hang, we're going to order dinner. And so, and Kristen's dad and stepmom were visiting.
Mm-hmm.
So they joined. So it ended up being all of us around a table. And it was really cute because both Tom and Kelly, the father and stepmother, must have said 30 times, those were really nice people. They were really, really nice people. Really interesting people. It's kind of cherry picking. If I just invite the people that were on the show, they're generally going to be pretty interesting for
That's
dinner.
true.
Yeah, it's kind of a stocked pond
It is.
to pull dinner guests. And he sent me,
What did he send you?
this is for us, dolphin accused of sexual assault at beach. A sexually frustrated dolphin in Osaka Bay, Japan, is accused of assaulting 45 people, biting and rubbing its genitals on beachgoers. Researchers suspect it's the same dolphin due to similar tail fin wounds. So, boy, he said, oh my gosh, you guys weren't kidding.
Yeah. They're out there. You got to be careful. You really got to be careful out
Yeah,
there.
look from afar. They're
I
adorable.
know they're cute.
They're cute until they're biting you and rubbing their genitals on you. Not so cute.
Yeah.
Although I would.
And there's no dolphin
I wouldn't want the
corp.
bites. But if he rubbed his genitals on me, I could survive that.
No one can take these dolphins to court.
Right. There's no dolphin jail. Well, I
Yeah.
guess.
SeaWorld.
Are they a sponsor? Do you want me to tell you about my evening? I mean, I already told you about my evening, but can I recap my evening for
Yes,
you? It was really
please.
something else.
Okay, let's hear it.
Just we've been busy.
Yeah.
So when we got off work, which was pretty late, I was tired. I was ready to go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
But Delta has shown this great passion and interest for basketball recently.
How did that happen?
I don't know. As I just told you a minute ago, we were at a barbecue for Lincoln's school. I took her to the bathroom. As we were walking back from the bathroom, there was a basketball court. And so I said, let's shoot hoops or whatever. And she was immediately very good at dribbling. And she was immediately very good at shooting.
Wow.
And I said, have you been practicing at school? And she's like, no. And I'm like, Delta, you're very naturally good at this. Like, really. So maybe that's like in the stew, you know, like encouraging people.
Yeah.
And it was so genuine. I then went on to fall on her,
Yeah.
which was maybe the worst moment I've had with
as
her.
a parent.
Yes, other than when I shaved
The
my beard. Yeah, that
beard.
was
You've had a
rough.
few.
I've had, you rack them up over time. But in this situation, she got under my legs at some point, like as I was looking up to grab the ball, and then all of a sudden I was tripping over her. And then I made this really dramatic move to step out of the way so I wouldn't fall on her, and I rolled my ankle in that exact moment. And so then I just collapsed. I had no control over my fall.
Yeah.
And she was already on the ground laying on her back. And I fell full. Well, I couldn't do anything to stop it. It was the worst feeling ever, falling and knowing she's under me.
Oh.
And I landed directly across her rib cage, and her body let out a gasp. Like it was involuntary.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. And I turned and I felt so bad. I was very worried I had broke her rib.
Right.
This is 200 pounds fell on her.
That's too much.
That's way too
for
much.
her
She's a
little
tiny little
body.
baby.
She's a baby.
She got up and ran to go find mom. All the parents that were in that gymnasium only saw me lying on my daughter and her screaming and crying and then
Sure.
running away from me.
Yeah, not a great
I was
first
very
look.
embarrassed.
Oh, you were?
I was. And in fact, like an hour later, when she was long over it, cut to she cried.
She was
Her ribs
fine.
were fine. She even told me she felt better after it, which was very kind and codependent of her. And then an hour later, I took her back to the bathroom. And some of the parents that had been in there, and one of the moms goes, is she okay? And I was like, yep, she's doing good. And then what I love about Delta, and this is that she's so weirdly mature in this way. We got to the bathroom. Someone was in there. So now we're sitting there waiting for the bathroom. And she goes, if I were you, I would have felt very judged by the way that woman just said, am I okay? And I go, I do. I'm thinking that. And she goes, yes, there's a way and then she picked the word she came up, lilted her voice, and she really had caught the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So then
Oh, I'm sorry you were embarrassed. That was just something that happened.
I know. It's just embarrassing to hurt a little girl.
Well, on
Yeah.
accident.
Because my fear was they thought I was being overly competitive with her or
Yeah,
something.
but that's not
Yeah.
what was happening.
That's not what was happening. But then that was Saturday, and then so Sunday we got our basketball, and then we went to Titi's house and shot around.
Nice.
And her and I played pig, many rounds of pig.
Love pig.
She's doing great again. And then I'm like, I'm going to get a basketball hoop. Obviously, this is great. Maybe we should get good at it. And that could be her sport. So I ordered one. And so last night we finish. And I see the box sitting there. It's arrived. And I've told her Wednesday, your basketball hoop's coming. And so there were a lot of parts. But I looked at it. And also, Kristen was like, do you want to get in the sauna? Because it had been a long day. And I go, I'm going to get in. I'm just going to put this basketball hoop together really quick.
And this is like a full
10 foot high with
Okay.
adjustable, whatever.
Okay.
In my mind, whatever. I even said, turn it on. I'll be done in 20 and then I'll get in.
Yeah.
And that'll be the time it heats up. An hour and a half into the project,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even close to being done. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have explosive harness.
Oh no. Okay.
I run into the house. I go to the bathroom right next to the front door. I harness. It's epic.
It's serious.
Yes. I flush the toilet
Yeah.
and it doesn't flush. And what I know is it's not the harness. That's not clogging the toilet. The toilet's already been clogged.
Yeah, you harnessed on
I
top of
harnessed
a
on
clog.
top of a clogged toilet.
Oh.
And now I'm like, oh, fuck. I got to deal with this. So then I go get a plunger.
Okay.
And I'm working the plunger and I'm trying to get the balls.
Oh.
You know, it's ugly work
Yeah, sure.
and it needs to be done. And then that plunger's not getting it done. And I plunge a lot. I'm pretty good at plunging. So I'm like, fuck, I'm going to have to go get that crazy plunger I have out in the guest house that's got a real long accordion neck on it because this other one's not working.
Okay.
I go get that one. I'm plunging. I eventually lose my temper, right? Now something's going down and I'm reflushing. So it's not great and it's not at its worst point.
Okay.
But now I'm fucking trying to plunge this thing, and the fucking water's getting on my legs.
Water? You mean harness?
Well, on the floor, and I'm getting mad, and it's on my arms, and now I'm just like, I feel like I'm field dressing an animal. Like, now I just gotta get it over with.
my
Like, kill this thing and make it stop squirming. Like, I felt life or death all of a sudden. Why won't this fucking thing unplug? I've been down this road. It won't unplug. I went to battle with this toilet. So now I gotta call a plumber.
So it
wouldn't go down. I'm
Oh,
like, this thing
wow.
has to be snaked. That's where we're at. So
And
now
oh God.
I call a plumber, and then I go back outside and I resume building this basketball hoop.
Yeah.
They're busy. They arrive in like 40 minutes.
Oh.
No problem. I'm still working on the basketball hoop.
But they came that day. That's good.
They had to come that night. Yeah. I couldn't have slept knowing this was
Is there
hanging.
I didn't know that. I thought are there emergency plumbers?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Well, even Roto-Rooter, which is a franchise,
They can
I
come
think
at
they
any
go,
moment?
Yeah. Because
Oh.
people have plumbing disasters.
I know.
I was having one. So they arrive, and the first thing they do is they snake the toilet. Well, that doesn't help. It doesn't go down. So then they go to the outside of the house where you have a clean out, right? And you take the cap off, and then you can snake the pipe beyond that wall.
Okay.
So then they snake from the clean out, still not going down.
What?
Now we have a problem that's not in the toilet, and it's not in minimally the first 40 feet of sewer main.
Okay.
They go to the next clean out, which is like at the wall of the property.
Okay.
And I don't even know if I should describe what happened. Mind you, I'm right. That's exactly where I'm building this basketball hoop, is like 6 feet from the final clean out.
Okay.
They take the cap off the clean out.
What?
Mostly tons of water starts billowing out and duty
Stop.
into the yard.
No.
And I'm like,
Human duty.
oh my God, I can see it's starting to get, we're not dark yet, but it's definitely, the sun has set.
Oh, I thought you meant the color
And
of
I'm
the
like,
poop.
oh my God, they shouldn't have taken that fucking cap off. And when will it stop? Is it coming from the street? Like, is this Los Felices?
Ew. Ew.
And I'm like, oh my God, is it going to, like, it looked for a minute. I actually thought, is my yard going to flood with the city's waste?
It would be so ironic.
Kind of warranted, I guess.
I guess you've asked for it.
I'm also still building this basketball hoop because I'm going to fucking finish this thing. I thought it was going to take me 20 minutes. I'm like, this is now 2.5 hours I've been building this thing.
Yeah.
And it's now gotten dark. So then I go get some lights. I put some lights up to finish. These guys are 6 feet away. It smells horrendous.
Oh.
The kids are coming out. Then they're going in. Oh, Daddy farted. I'm like, I didn't fart. It's the fucking city sewage is in our yard. I think Kristen's checking in. Like, is he going to blow? Kind of,
Yeah.
like how in the red is he on this? And they weren't being very optimistic, right? Because when they came in, they said, toilets, it's not, Then the second one, they're like, it's not. I'm starting to sense from them that they're not going to be able to fix this situation. So they're working on that for a while, and they got it. So when we built through all this renovation, we did a whole new sewer line out to the wall, but I don't think from the wall to the street was replaced. So roots.
Oh.
When they finally pulled out what it was, they pulled out this mass of roots that had backed everything up from the street.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So it was.
I saved this part of the story for you.
Yeah,
You knew
I-
about
I-
the basketball hoop. but
All
you
I
didn't know
heard
about,
was you were in the middle of building a basketball.
Yeah. All that to say, they wrapped up roughly the same time I finally finished this fucking basketball hoop. And it was 3 hours that I was doing that.
Yeah.
It was my entire night. I
Yeah.
finished that and I went upstairs and put my jammies on. I took a shower and put my jammies on.
Did she play?
So this morning they got up before school and they both played the whole time before school.
Oh, cute.
Yeah. And I do think people should see their dad in this state, as long as it's not directed at them. But it was definitely like Christmas Story, right? Where I'm in the bathroom, they can hear plunging, and I'm just in there like, fucking mother, what the fuck? I'm just mumbling swear words.
Yes. Yeah. I know.
And then they'll peek their head outside, and then I'm like, this fucking, I'm putting this thing together, I'm swearing at the tools and stuff. So it was like a good 3 hours of me just murmuring all kinds of muttering. I was just muttering.
Yeah, Dad's mutter.
Yes.
Well, it got settled. Jeez.
So it was a
that's
hell of an evening.
disgusting.
Yeah.
So what did you do with the poop in the yard? Do you spray
Hose
that?
the hell out of it.
And then
Into this little outcropping of new bushes that were planted.
okay.
So part of me was like, that's fertilizer.
I mean, sure.
Good for them.
Yeah. Wow.
Are you afraid that they have hepatitis now?
I just think
Those plants?
your whole yard is covered in poop.
By the end, after the washdown happened.
I know, but the washdown is really just like diluting it
Fair.
because it's not going anywhere.
Seeping into the soil and nurturing the plants.
Okay. That's interesting because we don't mind often. I mean, I do think, and I'm not just saying this to be like a prissy girl. I'm not someone who loves the smell of my farts. I know that's like a thing that everyone says that like people like the smell of their farts. That's fine.
Few things. I take you at face value.
You think I'm lying, but I'm not.
I believe you. It's so hard for me to imagine.
I mean, why would I lie about it?
I know.
I've said a lot of stuff on here.
Yeah, you have. And in that way, I should take it. But it's hard to imagine. You don't like them, but you don't hate them, do you?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes you
yes,
hate 'em.
Sometimes I hate them. I know what you guys are saying, but I really don't have it.
Right.
And that's fine. I think most people do like the smell of their farts. But all to say, they don't like their poop, I guess, because you love the smell of your farts and you did not like having poop on you. Your
I
own
do
poop.
not want to have my poop on me.
Yeah. That's
Smells
an
one
interesting,
thing,
like,
distinction.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not healthy to have your poop on you because then you spread it around. It's not good.
It just, for me, there's not that.
Yeah, if you like it, then you should like it. You should marry it. If
Yeah.
you like it so
If
much.
you like it
why
so
don't
much,
you
I don't even marry it. No, I would rather.
I like this. Something big's coming.
I think I would rather have poop on me, my own, than smell my own fart. Wow. I think. I mean, obviously, if I can wash it off immediately, not
Wow.
like,
And in this scenario,
yeah,
obviously you can't smell it because that would defeat the purpose.
exactly.
Right.
Correct. No smell, but if it's on me and then I know I can wash it, I have no,
You're fine.
but I think it's because of that. It's like farts, you don't know how long they're going to last.
That's part of
There's
the fun.
anxiety.
That's the that's where you get the dopamine because it's unpredictable. And that's where kind of the fun of it is.
Happy for you. Happy that you have that.
So anyways, that was my evening. What was your night?
No, nothing. Just worked.
Plumbing worked great.
My plumbing
Didn't assemble anything.
has worked great.
Yeah. The blessing of all this, if I'm being honest, again, all these, there's blessings in all this.
Yeah.
The whole house was clogged. So
Yeah.
we could have been discovering this at 3 a.m.
True.
We could be discovering it at 6 a.m. when we're all trying to get ready for school and I got to go
Yes.
to work.
Yeah.
So in a weird way, what a blessing because all the toilets would have started backing up.
Blessing in disguise. Ding, ding, ding.
listen.
Armchair Anonymous. Coming up.
Check it out.
Coming up. All right. So Dr. Mike, I looked for his inspirational quotes.
Oh, yeah.
But the Twitter, the X app, I can only go to 2020.
Really?
Yeah. When
'Cause you're not paying or
when I
something, or-
scroll, like when I
By the way, and it takes probably a very long time for you just to scroll to 2020.
it took so long, and then now like it's
It's
off.
Ooh.
Okay, so I can't get his inspirational quotes. He's probably glad about that.
What do you think? What variety do you think they were? Like stay positive kind or
Oh, that's a good
work? Probably
question.
work hard kind.
Nose to the grindstone.
Because he's a hard worker.
Yeah, but part of his videos were like, you can still have fun.
Still go to clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and assume that they were work oriented.
Okay. Do you want to
Like work.
make one up that you think he would have made up?
Yeah. Nothing tastes as good. No, that's it.
What's that?
Nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. I say that to myself all the time out loud. It's kind of like, remember our trip to the sand dunes when I said no calories on your birthday?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been a long time since we told that story.
Yeah,
Can
tell
we
it. That
tell
was
it?
fun. Yeah.
It's only good at the very end. But how did it even originate? It was someone's birthday. It wasn't yours because we weren't in the sand dunes in August.
We were there for
Erica's or
Thanksgiving.
something?
We were there for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And we were eating Thanksgiving food, and it was all delicious, and it was rich, and
Yeah.
there were a lot of calories
And
involved.
for some reason, I just said, pass the such and such. No calories on your birthday. So then the next day I did it again. And then I started this thing where I would tell a story that was unrelated to calories and I would end it with no calories on your birthday.
But it was incorporated well. Like you would tell a story about this woman, and then by the end it was like, and then
Yeah, it was a totally made up story, but it sounded real. And then the punchline would be, and she said,
no calories on your birthday.
It worked pretty good. And then it was starting to get a little long in the tooth. Like I was doing it too much
You're
for
doing it all.
sure.
Yeah.
But then we left the sand dunes and we all checked into this hotel in Palm Springs for a night.
Yeah.
And everyone was in a panic of have we ordered food for the kids? And so I claimed I had ordered the food for the kids. And everyone's like really paying attention because it's like it has to happen. I'm like, don't worry, I ordered. I got so-and-so something. And then I don't know how you guys feel about this, but you get a free milkshake with the kids' meal. And I was a little bit nervous, but then I said, no calories on your birthday. And it had been days.
Yeah.
And all of it was fake.
Yeah, everything you said was fake. That was also, it was just like you've wasted so many
so
minutes
much
of
time.
our lives telling us these stories that are fully made up. Oh man, funny.
Anyway. You found some.
You found it?
Oh, wonderful.
my God. Does
They're
your
coming in
ex go
via
past
text.
2020?
Maybe being on a computer is helpful.
No, I was on my phone. It was
But
This-
wait.
2015, yeah.
What I like about this is we guessed.
Yeah.
So it's a real time find out if we are right. Choose a job that you love and you will never have to work a day in your life. Now, I am going to have to call bullshit on him because I said you were stealing quotes. He said, no, I was making those up. And that's definitely existed before he used that.
Well, this one,
But by the way, that was hard work related.
it is. Choose a job that you love and you'll never have to work. Okay, but that one, to be fair to him, is printed on a piece of paper and it's obviously in his office. So
And there's a hanging stethoscope next. That way, that's how we know it's a doctor's office.
no. But okay, now you have to look at his caption. His caption is probably the quote he's probably.
Oh.
It says, "Step 1, know thyself.
He's using biblical terms. That's a big swing.
Step 2, find a passion. Step 3, enjoy the ride. Found mine. Have you?
Classic. He's a natural at. He knew about social media long before anyone else. You ask a question so people feel it,
Yeah, engagement.
prompting them.
Wow.
Smart. Next one. Okay, so you're right. So the post is fall for their strengths and you have something. Fall for their weaknesses and you have something extraordinary.
I'm gonna have to think on that
I don't
one.
understand that one, but let's read this caption and maybe we'll.
Well, yeah.
Human vulnerability is a beautiful thing. Oh, we love that, Dr. Mike.
Yeah, we love that.
Focus on the whole package and appreciate the faults. Enjoy exploring how they got there. The flaws tell a story that's and ...
We can't see the rest of it.
Great message.
I get it.
I think he wrote this after he screwed a girlfriend over.
Oh, and he wanted forgiveness.
I'm teasing. I love Dr. Mike.
Okay, now another one is also one that's not his.
Correct. And it's very, very long. And then he just wrote yes. So we're going to
We're gonna
probably
skip
not do that
that
one.
Okay, the next one is
Although let's see what message he wanted out in the world. You want to read this one?
sure. Life will break you. Nobody can protect you from that, and living alone won't either. For solitude will also break you with its yearning. You have to love. You have to feel. It is the reason you are here on earth. You are here to risk your heart. You are here to be swallowed up, and when it happens that you are broken or betrayed or left or hurt or death brushes near, let yourself sit by an apple tree and listen to the apples falling all around you in heaps, wasting their sweetness. Tell yourself you tasted as many as you could.
What if midway through you got like that?
Started crying.
A huge lump in your throat.
I'm not very sappy. Hey,
People could never say, I couldn't kick you in the attic. This
I know.
is a huge improvement.
This is what I said. I want to sit over there. I
A
like
little
more distance.
You feel safer.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, and I just want to say for the record, we are not making fun of Dr. Mike. He made fun of himself.
Exactly.
He had a very good sense of
This
humor
is
about
all
this.
very in keeping with Dr. Mike's energy,
he's like-
playful, sexy energy.
Sexy tiger. He's also like probably 25 in these.
Yeah, it
it's
was a long
cute.
time ago. Okay, the last one is very cheeky.
Oh, you have another one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I do too.
You want to read it?
An apple a day keeps anyone away if you throw it hard enough. That's just good.
That's just
a good
hilarious.
fun. Yeah.
But he likes apples. These last two are apple related.
Also biblical.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Lincoln's learning the Old Testament right now at school.
Oh, wow. Does she have questions? Or does she has thoughts that are interesting to share here?
Of course. Of course.
Let's hear.
Well, she learned that God said, this place is for you. It's in Eden. Don't eat the apples.
Mm-hmm.
She said the apple symbolizes wisdom. That's probably an atheist point of view, but I don't know where she got that. But I was like, oh,
Interesting.
that's interesting.
Don't eat the apples. Why wouldn't you want to consume wisdom?
Well, he didn't say that apple represents wisdom. She's saying
Oh.
the apple represents wisdom. I don't know that we have a great explanation for why you're not allowed to eat the apple. It
was a test from God.
It's a test for God.
Yeah.
And so the serpent gets Eve, that betraying, conniving bitch,
Yeah, big old
to
bitch.
tempt Adam.
Yeah, this mean bitch.
Yeah, he was so good and pure.
He
He would have
was-
never eaten that apple.
No, he was such a good boy.
He's a
He was
good
a
boy.
best
He
boy,
listened to his
cool guy,
dad.
sexy man.
Yeah.
And he always listened to his dad.
His
and this
daddy.
mean, evil bitch
Temptress
comes along.
siren. Yeah, and then she fast forward and she said, and then we learned about Noah, and God had to kill everyone because something was reigning on earth, evil for lack of a better word. I said, well, hold on. Are we to believe that Noah and his wife populated the entire planet? That's a lot of inbreeding. And she said, no, he brought his 3 sons and their wives. And apparently God told them, you cannot have sex on this boat. I mean, I don't know why.
Because, like, it'll tip. There's a lot going on that boat.
When there's
So many
the
animals.
Motion of the ocean.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they were not supposed to fuck on the board of the ark.
Mm-hmm.
One of the sons did. People that are really biblically inclined are like screaming at their dashboards right now. But he and his wife did. And they had kids. And then those kids then brought back the same evil that God had just rid the planet of. And now he said, I'm not going to meddle anymore.
Oh, he's sick
That was
of
his
it.
declaration.
He was tired of it.
And I said to her, and I'm like, so he really fucked that up, God, basically. And she's like, yeah, he just can't seem to make a plan that works.
Do you think this is where the term rock the boat comes from? Don't rock the boat?
Don't rock the boat, maybe, Wob. Wobby, hello, it's Robert. Well, Delta just chimed in. She's not learning about the Old Testament, but she said, that's your Adam's apple.
Yeah, it is.
And I said, that's why Dad has so much wisdom in his voice.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Did you teach her about the clitoris and that's where we keep our wisdom?
Ooh. Ooh. I don't see nothing wrong. It's time for the Dotty Dada dance. With a little pomegranate. So what I have decided about that daddy-daughter dance is if it ever comes across my desk, and I'm expected to do it, even though I will not pay for a wedding, they got to figure that out.
Really?
Yeah, because I didn't have one. I think it's absurd to spend that much
Wait,
amount of money.
you
You're starting
are-
your life.
You are so all over the place.
Okay. Say more.
Sometimes I worry I don't know you anymore.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
That is what it is.
This isn't new. Obviously, I didn't have a wedding, so I think it's crazy to spend a bunch of money on a party. When
get
people are
it.
starting their life and you could buy them a frickin' starter home for what these weddings cost.
Yes,
So I just think it's a dumb use of money.
I get that.
Invite some friends over, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not inconsistent.
No, it's not.
Very consistent.
Yeah.
If my daughters want a daddy-daughter dance, by God, I'm going to give them one.
I know,
That's
as you
consistent.
should. Yeah.
Now, if it comes across my desk I'm going to do the thing where I'm going to learn like the jitterbug with her or something. Like I'm going to put a month into it being the greatest daddy-daughter dance you ever saw.
That's fun.
Props, chairs, aerial stuff. And then that would be awesome because that would just be me and one of the two daughters performing
Yeah,
together.
that's great. No, but you have a stance about asking the dad's permission, which that to me feels very old, but it's like we're in the same world. We're in wedding world, we're in marriage world, yet there's a lot of inconsistencies in thinking.
Well, and that one thing is like steeped in tradition that I'm honoring. But again, I'm just going to put a really fine point on it. I don't believe in the permission part.
Yeah, good.
I don't. That's not really what I'm doing.
Yeah,
In the same way that I'm not celebrating Jesus' birthday on Christmas.
I know.
Yeah. So I just want to be clear about that.
Yeah.
I'm saying to him, I'm humble enough to come acknowledge this is the most important thing in your life, your daughter. And I want to show you my character and that I can bend the knee and honor you right now.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. It's just it's an old school tradition.
Yeah.
And it's based in things that are old, just like paying for a wedding is based on things that are old. Like a
Yeah.
lot of these things are based on old foundational structures that are gone. And
Yeah.
and it's just and look, we all do this. We all pick and choose what works for us and what doesn't work for us.
A la
and
carte.
it's a la carte, but
It's hard to predict.
It can be hard to predict.
And it's scary when you can't predict people.
Yeah.
But also it's why we like a lot of the people we like.
Mixed messies?
Well, novelty's burbling up and it keeps everything interesting and exciting. It's like we want total predictability and we hate total predictability. It's another great dichotomy and paradox of just what we want. It's like we want safety and predictability and then you have it and then people are bored and disimpassioned.
Yeah.
So then you're trying to infuse novelty and excitement and keep the, you know, it's all like trade-offs.
But I think that's different for everyone. Everyone has a different level of novelty seeking. We all want some, but there's definitely a spectrum. And we talked about this on next week's fact check.
You can't say that.
What I have to say, it's sort of because it's what's happening. And then it's going to sound weird when they hear it, but I like safety.
Yeah.
I really, really like safety a lot. And I seek it out. And I seek predictability out. You don't think so? I mean, there are things.
I know you like safety, but I don't think you're attracted to safety. Like you could have gobbled up at any moment a ton of safe options that are on the table for you, and you're not attracted to those people.
You mean
with
men,
suitors.
partners?
Yeah.
Well,
This is the tension we live in.
No. You mean safety like a personality wise?
No.
What do you mean?
Highly predictable. Yeah. Highly trustworthy.
I mean,
I don't think.
I don't know if I've had
if
those
that's
options.
What you wanted, you could have had that so easily so many times.
Yeah, I mean, yes, you're right. Those aren't things at the top of my list of what I want.
They don't wake up your attraction.
Yeah, but they're probably what I need.
Totally. But again, this is pretty universal. I think it's like that is the tension everyone's trying. You're trying to get whatever the peak amount you can handle.
Yeah.
So you're getting the most amount of excitement and then whatever the minimum requirements you have for safety and all that. But you're not just like running towards super safe. You're not like, oh yeah, this person, they don't even leave their apartment. They're never going to talk to anyone else. You're not.
But that's not what I mean. That's looking at it in such a
monogamy way.
Or no, it's just such like a black and white. Like to me, safety just means like I basically know for the most part, what this person's gonna say or do or think. Like I know them. I know what's.
Yeah, and I got you. So you're saying even if it's on the outrageous end of the spectrum, there's a zone in which their outrageousness should be predictable.
Consistency, or so I think it's more consistency than it is I guess it's the same thing as predictability, but
But
it's,
like Eric's not safe.
at all, but he's very safe to me. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. He is not safe. He's outrageous. He'll say the craziest
You
stuff.
don't know what's can happen, and we both are so attracted
It's
to
a
him.
live wire, but you do know.
He's not going to hurt you physically.
Right, exactly.
That's about all we can
He's
say.
not
though.
going to hurt you, but you know you're probably going to get something absolutely outrageous. But yeah, he's consistent. I just mean in life, not just with people.
Yeah.
Again, next week's picture. I like routine.
You like to know your
I like
toilet's going to flush when you
routine.
flush it.
I do.
That it won't be backed
I
up.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I like seeing the people I like to see. And I like, yeah.
Yeah. I just think it's a fascinating paradox of people.
It is. I mean, we all struggle with this.
We still want to be surprised a lot, too.
Well, it's why social media works. We're playing a slot machine every time we go on there. We like that. We obviously like that as a human.
Then you're back in Vegas with a handle in your hand.
I know that song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back.
It's a good song.
Jack, do it again. You claim you don't like gambling, but then you're back in Vegas with a handle in your hand.
That's a ding, ding, ding to what we're talking about.
That's right. I thought of the perfect song. Oh, thanks you to the people in the comments. Remember the other day, you wouldn't remember, but I was like, and I can't go for that. It led to the Witch song.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a about. But the original song I was trying to sing is actually a Weezer song. I don't care about that.
Oh,
They were like, you were thinking of the
yeah.
Weezer song.
Oh,
and that
that's
is what I was
funny.
thinking of.
People are
I like when
on
they
top
solve
of
these-
it. I do too.
Yeah.
Buddy Holly.
Buddy Holly.
Just like Buddy Holly. Oh,
That was such
and
a
you
huge
married
song.
Tyler Moore.
Okay. So he said he does pap smears
Yeah.
or did pap smears or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do if my doctor came in and he looked like Dr. Mike and he was going to perform a pap smear. First of all, this
Would it
is
make you
why, like,
self-conscious
absolutely
or-
no to for me,
For you,
for a
yeah.
male, kind of any doc, not any, but I do prefer women because, I'm never going to try to
This episode
impress
should be
them.
called Paradoxes because I honor that, and you're totally right.
Mm-hmm.
But can you imagine if a man said only male doctors?
I mean, I think a lot of men will say only male, like testicular doctors or whatever.
No,
You have a woman,
I wish.
see,
I'd way rather have a woman
I
kneading
think-
my ball sack than
I
a
think
guy.
I think mostly the women are like, I won't have male patient. Like it's always to protect the woman because the women are the ones mainly.
I accept it.
Getting
I'm supportive of it. I'm just pointing out the paradox.
Yeah.
It'd be crazy if I said like I would never have a woman doctor.
Yeah, well,
Like, what, you
women
think women are
often
stupid?
no, they're just often women are not often hurting men physically. They have and they do and they
I'm
will.
watching a great Netflix doc right now. If you watch the Love Stalker or whatever one, I know you've seen it pop up.
I haven't seen it.
It says like Lovers Stalker or something, and it is wozers.
And it's a woman doing some nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, we are all
It'd just be
capable.
crazy.
We're all capable of all things. We are. I am for sure not saying otherwise.
Yeah, but proportionally get real.
Yeah, let's look at Larry
Yeah.
Nassar. I mean,
Yeah,
come
no,
on.
no, it's quite lopsided.
Yeah. But anyway, whatever. I mean, I had a male, I guess he was a student or something. It was during the egg freezing.
Okay.
And so he was in there with my doctor. And they asked and it was fine.
You let him stay.
I did. I do remember being on edge in a different way when he was in there. And he was also attractive.
So I want to ask some follow-up questions. Oh, he was attractive.
Yeah, he was. And so,
So-
with Dr. Mike, I mean,
because that's when I need to get really specific here. Are you saying you wouldn't want Dr. Mike because he's just a man, or he's so hot? A, now I'm insecure, self-conscious, or B, I don't want to be aroused during this.
okay. So
I just
there's
wanna
so
be-
much to answer there. If a man's not attractive, I don't want him there either.
Okay, great. So you just don't
That's
want a
separate.
man.
I don't.
Yeah.
But with Dr. Mike,
Yeah.
if he walked in, I would feel very self-conscious
Okay.
and worried. Like,
I hope he likes what he sees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
not what
should
you
be-
want to be thinking about
Right.
when you're getting a pap smear.
But what if you were
And okay, I know you want to hear about the arousal.
well, also, what if you were feeling very confident? Like, I can't wait
But
for
you
him to see.
never know. You
I
never
can't
know
wait
what
for,
people's
well, if you had the
cups.
thought, I can't wait for him to see this.
What if he walked in and I was already undressed? It's like ready.
Check it out.
I'm ready for you, Dr. Mike. You never know what people's cups of tea are.
That's true.
So as confident as I could be, you don't know.
You don't know.
And you don't know what people
You
like.
get what you get, and you don't complain.
And so I would feel nervous.
Yeah, and excited
Do you think, what if I like had my top off and he was like, you don't need to, for a pap smear? He's like, you don't need to take your shirt off. No, I know. But I
feel better.
I feel more comfortable
I'm
this
so
way.
bound up, and it's a vulnerable situation. I feel much better with my breasts out.
I'm much more comfortable this way. And then what would I do? Because I also would, because I like him and he's nice and he's a great doctor. I would feel codependent and nervous to say, I would really prefer if a female conducted the pap smear.
Yeah, or you put on like an ugly mask.
No, because by then I already know
okay.
it's,
Yeah,
too
it's
late.
too late.
It's too late. And then yes, I would be a little nervous. I mean, I don't think a pap smear is horrible.
They're terrible.
It sucks.
Speculum in? No.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's not fun. So I don't think I would get aroused. But what if? And then you're in your head, and then you can't be natural if you're in your head. You know, lots at play.
Yep. And I'm in a much different scenario. As the aforementioned assaults on women, I'm not ever nervous I'm going to get assaulted.
Yeah,
So I'm in a
exactly.
different headspace.
Yeah, you're in a different headspace across the board.
Yeah. Yeah.
My computer did just die.
Okay.
Do we have a situation
We have
for
power.
this?
We do have.
Let's see here.
Oh, great.
I have a charger actually. Perfect. Thank you.
Poivums.
I've been meaning to tell you guys both.
You can go on the
this.
other side.
It's broken.
No, I mean your other shoulder. So you're not like.
Right.
No, you wrapped. Oh my God, that's like watching.
Oh my
I would love to watch you build that basketball.
I never have ever claimed to be good at spatial stuff.
Yeah, it's not your thing.
It's not my thing. But I have wanted to tell both of you, I wanted to admit something to both of you. I bought a new laptop
Finally.
months ago.
You did.
And remember, Rob, you set it up for me.
Yeah.
And I
Never refused it.
I'm like refusing to use it.
You are such.
I don't know what's going on mentally.
Yeah, this is the bathroom door and the.
Yeah, I do know what's going on
Yeah.
mentally. I'm like
Yeah, what we just
clinging
talked about.
on. I'm clinging on
predictability.
for dear life.
You know how this thing's fucked up.
That thing doesn't have any space on it either.
It's not functional, really.
Yesterday,
The battery
when
lasts
you
12
tried
minutes.
to put something on it and you're like, oh, there's no space. It's like, fuck, I am going to have to move over.
Yeah, the hard drive has no memory on it.
It has no memory, but it has all my memories.
You
Right.
can still keep it.
So that's important. It's taking a long time to boot up.
Yeah, the other one probably would. The battery
It was
would probably
really
last
expensive too. Like I bought like the nicest
with a
laptop.
ton of memory and
Yep,
stuff.
and it's
Yeah.
just sitting.
You should leave the price tag on it for when you take it out to do in public. When you're doing your
so
editing at
people
these
know.
bars and
Okay.
restaurants you frequent. Has anyone ever complained to you, any patrons? Because you're drinking the whole time you're there.
Yeah, I make sure to have something in front of me. Not drinking necessarily. Sometimes I'll just order food.
Just throw it in the trash.
I do try to really milk whatever drink.
Yeah.
Like drink it so slow so that I can be there for a long time.
Yeah, without it raising any red flags.
Yeah.
Do you ever buy people's meals that you don't know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've done it.
It's
I like
fun,
doing it.
right?
It's really nice.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah, it feels good. Sometimes it gets complicated.
Yeah.
I tried to buy, so this is not someone I don't know. Bill, my dad and contractor, and
I hate to bring this up, but I'm meaning to.
what?
I haven't seen anyone working over there in so long.
Okay.
Have they stopped?
No, they haven't stopped. They're like wiring the house. So maybe
Are they doing that remotely?
Well, I don't think wiring is that big of a. Maybe you just don't see it.
Yeah.
Have you been over there in a minute?
Well, we took a walk on Sunday or something, and we walked by it. It just looks the same as it's looked for a very long time, and I'm not seeing any cars parked in front. And I'm in and out. I'm around
On the
neighborhood.
weekend. I
Well,
mean,
no, even during the week, I'm not seeing.
well,
like,
I have because I can't park there. Every time I try to park, I'm back on Hobart. I'm not even trying to. This is something that has happened between us. You reminded me. You've mentioned a few times, like, why don't you park in the neighborhood?
yeah.
And that's a fair question. And I said, well, it's hard to park in the neighborhood. And that's because there are cars all over the place. There are cars like outside your house, and then there are cars outside my house because of construction.
Yeah.
And I said that, and then you asked me again, and I said it again.
Yeah.
But then
tried it.
It got in my head a little bit. I was like, oh, okay, maybe I am wrong. Maybe it is fine to park inside, and there's plenty of space, and I'm crazy. And 2 days in a row,
The wirers were there.
there's no place to park, and I had to drive back out, and it took long, and then I was panicked because then I'm late, and I could have just parked on Hobart to begin with, and I should have listened to my own intuition.
Yeah, you always should.
Okay, now, you mentioned our astronaut that we had on a long time ago,
Yeah.
and you said you thought he was the longest guy in space.
American.
American.
Yeah.
The longest U.S. space flight,
Yeah.
Frank Rubio, he spent 371 days in space.
Oh.
So that's not who we had on.
No, we had the twin,
Scott Kelly.
Scott Kelly.
Scott Kelly. Well, anyway, Frank Rubio.
Good job, Frank.
Blue Origin is the Bezos aerospace company.
Oh, okay. Blue Origin.
Oh, the new number for happiness,
For the money?
for money, is 500,000.
Okay. Seems like they keep fixing it a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
Like they keep going,
I
like,
think that's correct. 'Cause
Indicative of
the original
cost of living.
75,000. Like,
no, I thought it was 170 was the one. I don't know why that
maybe.
number's in my
Yeah.
head, but yeah, 500 is a substantial living.
Well, originally it was Kahneman. And
it was?
Yeah, and it says here, and it was in 2010, and it said found that money could only boost happiness up to about 75,000.
Wow.
Yeah. But new studies say 500,000.
Okay, great. So keep pushing till you hit 500 and then put it in neutral
Yeah.
plateau.
That number resonates.
For sure.
think that's
it's huge,
right.
But it's also so different around the country.
Exactly. Okay, genetic sexual attraction.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that. A lot, most people say is pseudoscience.
What is? What aspect?
Genetic sexual attraction, the attraction basically between like an adopted mom or dad reuniting with their kid. But there's like science around it that has to do with like smell and reuniting.
Well, that's what I was saying, is that the smell hadn't imprinted.
Well, this is the opposite of that. It's
What article? I wonder if this is the same article I read.
It's from Cumbria County Council.
No. This
Dax,
no disrespect to Cumbria County.
I'm telling you that most things I found normal were like, no. Like, that's the only thing that's saying it's a possibility. There's a Wikipedia on genetic sexual attraction, a hypothesis that attraction may be a product of genetic similarities. While there's scientific evidence for this position, some commentators regard the hypothesis as pseudoscience. And then the more I looked, everyone was saying that.
God, I'm gonna
Find
now I wanna
it.
Find
I would
that
like
article,
that.
yeah.
I would
'Cause
like
it was from a very legitimate news source, and it was just now the explanation. I have no dog in that fight.
Yeah.
But my claim that it's an inordinate amount that happens to, I stand by. I'll find the article.
Find
that
the
talks
article,
about this
report back.
Weird phenomena.
Yes, if you grow up with a pet, you are your chances are reduced of developing a pet allergy later in life. That is true. The second season of Dr. Death was, you said maybe it was about stem
It was
cells.
with the cancer guy in Michigan.
Cancer guy. Yeah.
Maybe third was stem cells.
Cancer guy.
Surgeon guy, cancer guy.
Miracle Man is the third. And that is about, smart and handsome surgeon.
We trust good-looking people more.
I know. Then Bad Magic. Maybe that is, that one sounds good. When a young charismatic doctor.
Oh. Watch out. Get ready for your pap smear. Get your bra off.
I'm not seeing stem cell, but we did. I think we had someone on who did a podcast on that. And then the dolphin who loved the woman, that was a NASA-funded project. The woman's name was Margaret Lovett. You can read up about that if you'd like.
Okay.
But we've talked a lot about it, so it can be done. Brad Pitt, according to the internet, was 155 pounds during Fight Club.
155. That's thin because he's 6 foot tall.
Yeah,
The
tall boy.
the stem cell thing, I think. So Laura Beale, when she came on, she was talking about her new podcast, Bad Batch, which was about stem cells.
There we go. Thank you, Rob. That makes a lot of sense. So the original reporter from the first season of Dr. Death's second project was called Bad Batch.
That was not connected to Dr. Death.
Wasn't under the Dr. Death
Got it.
umbrella.
That makes sense, yeah.
But I think it's still Wondery.
Still Wondery.
Oh, cool.
Still
Ding, ding, ding.
Under the mega umbrella. What would you call above an umbrella?
Oh, the sky.
Okay. The atmosphere.
A canopy.
It's in the, oh, yeah, that's good. Wondery canopy.
Oh, nice.
That's
yeah.
nice. Very nice.
Very nice.
Oh,
That's
well, that
it
was
for
fun.
Dr. Mike. Yeah.
I love you.
Love you.